100 Clearwater Place in Lawrenceville. They have not identified a victim or said how the victim died or if they've made an arrest. We'll bring you more on this developing story as we get it. Now your weather. Sunshine this afternoon and warm. Highs around 85, then much cooler tomorrow. You might need your sweater. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. This is coming up at 12:05. Former FBI Director James Comey appearing before a judge today to defend against criminal charges brought against him. Natalie Brand is in Washington with more details.
Former FBI Director James Comey faced charges brought by the Justice Department he once served. He pleaded not guilty to one count of obstruction of a congressional proceeding and one count of making false statements related to 5-year-old Senate testimony during which he denied authorizing leaks to the media.
And a trial date has been set for January 5th. Police in Louisiana identify 4 Georgia suspects connected to a string of robberies against pro athletes. 2 are captured, 2 more on the run. They're wanted for burglarizing the home of New Orleans Saints defensive end Cam Jordan. Jefferson Parish Sheriff Joseph Lopinto says his deputies have received requests to patrol the houses of high-profile athletes during games.
Do extra patrols on their houses during the games and remind our deputies that a game is this weekend and these patrol requests are out there.
He says the suspects are accused of burglarizing Jordan's home while the Saints were playing the 49ers at the Superdome on September 14th. A Republican senator criticizing a draft memo from the White House Budget Office saying that federal workers may not be entitled to back pay from their time off during the government shutdown. Tom Tillis of North Carolina saying he thinks it's a bad strategy.
I do think there's some frustration from the White House, but you've got these people who, if they're members of the credit union, may be borrowing money to pay their bills.
But he calls the government shutdown a fake crisis, accusing Democrats of playing politics. Meanwhile, President Trump is suggesting that some furloughed government workers could receive back pay while others won't. The president saying, quote, "It really depends on who you're talking about." This is new at noon. Suicide rates among young adults is on the rise again. CDC data showing the suicide rates for those aged 18 to 27 rose nearly 20%. Between 2014 and 2024, the biggest increase was seen among young Black and Hispanic men. Also new at noon, Forbes out with the world's best employers list, and Georgia, a company from Georgia, ranking very high. Senior editor Rachel Rabkin-Peachman.
Microsoft at number 1, Delta Airlines at number 2, Alphabet at number 3, Adobe ranked number 4, and BMW is number 5.
Now, Forbes surveyed 300,000 employees at companies with at least 1,000 employees to find out which companies were the best to work for. Forbes says that employees are looking for work-life balance, opportunities to grow, as well as training and upscaling within the company. Again, Delta coming in at number 2. Some 135,000 Hyundai Santa Fe SUVs under recall this afternoon. It's the 2024-25 Santa Fe's. They could have a starter motor that was improperly installed, and it can short circuit during a crash and cause a fire. And this has only happened during one crash test, not in the real world, and have been reported. The recall notices will be mailed out come December 1st. Dealers will inspect those vehicles, and if needed, they'll fix the cover that may not have been installed properly. A public health alert has been issued for certain ready-to-eat meals produced by Fresh Realm. It's because of potential listeria contamination. You want to check your freezer. This time it is the Blue Apron cheesy chicken mac with vegetables and the Marley Spoons barbecue soft meatballs with cheesy cauliflower. There have been no confirmed reports of illnesses, but consumers are advised to discard those ready-to-eat meals or return them for a refund. They are everywhere. We all see them, those big Joro spiders. And the University of Georgia Center for Invasive Species is asking you to take pictures to help research those spiders.
To understand how they move, where they're moving to, how the distribution is moving as time progresses.
That is the center's Rebecca Wallace. She says they've tracked those spiders as far away as Maryland and Pennsylvania, although they're not spreading as far south. The spiders from Asia were first spotted in the U.S. in Houston, Georgia, back in 2013. And if you're thinking of going to Disney, it's going to cost you more. Ticket prices increasing as Disney theme parks in California and Florida, Disneyland and Walt Disney World are raising the cost of a number of ticket and annual pass options. Ticket prices will go up an average of $5 on non-peak dates. So starting prices for those tickets will increase after October of next year. Annual passes to Disneyland will go up between $20 and $80 after next October, and those peak dates you could be paying nearly $200. All right, let's take a look at the markets. The Dow is currently up slightly. NASDAQ is up almost a full percent. The S&P is up more than 0.5%. Let's get a check of the roads. For that, Alex Williams joining us from the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Still struggling over on the east side perimeter, Sabrina, with that left lane construction both ways, 285 north and southbound at Glenwood Road, exit 44. Southbound looks like they just cleared a crash out of the right lane that was in that construction zone, so that's made it extra tough as you leave East Ponce and Clarkston, heading down to I-20. If you are making the trek through Highway 316 eastbound, maybe out into Lawrenceville, there's construction right around Highway 120, Duluth Highway, one lane block there, causing delays there back toward Riverside Parkway. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Your 5-day forecast is sponsored by Shoemake, the official plumber of Atlanta.
A mix of sun and clouds for this afternoon. High 85, lows tonight in the low 60s. The cool air returns tomorrow. Partly cloudy and breezy. Highs only in the upper 60s to low 70s. And that east wind gusting 25 miles per hour. Cooling down to the upper 40s, low 50s on Friday morning. Friday afternoon, mostly sunny, high 72. Saturday and Sunday, abundant sunshine. Morning lows in the mid 50s. Daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s.
We'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. 95.5 WSB.
Okay, friends, it's the 5K a day bonus blitz. Your noon keyword is drink, D-R-I-N-K, drink. Enter the keyword drink into the WSB Radio app or at WSBRadio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 p.m. to enter the keyword, win $1,000. The keyword is drink, D-R-I-N-K, drink. Good luck.
Hello, America. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be delighted to have you. I got to begin with me as the story, and I didn't expect to begin with me as the story today, but something wild happened. Yesterday was October 7th. It was the second anniversary of Hamas's attack on Israel, and instead of putting up a bunch of words, I just put up a tweet. You can do 280 characters on Twitter, so I did 280 characters of the Israeli flag. That's it. That's all I did. There was no commentary. There was nothing. Just the Israeli flag. Obviously, it was October 7th. The amount of anti-Semitism that came out of that tweet to commemorate the second anniversary of a mass murder in Israel where hostages, including some American citizens, are still held hostage. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the anti-Semitic congresswoman from Georgia who believes the Jews have massive space lasers, replied to the tweet. Actually, she quoted the tweet and put a reciprocal number of American flags. Now, I happened to look at her Twitter feed. Marjorie Taylor Greene retweeted a Candace Owens conspiracy theory that the Jews might have been behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk and her American flags. Now, again, it's important for you to remember that there are American citizens who are being held hostage still by Hamas. Marjorie Taylor Greene couldn't comment on those. She just wanted to subtweet me with a bunch of American flags suggesting she was putting America first. What about the Americans held hostage by Hamas? She had nothing to say about them, not a single thing to say about them. I'm told, I didn't see it, but I'm told Matt Gaetz was in the same boat, that he too commented on my tweet with a bunch of flags and again did not comment on the Americans being held hostage by Hamas. What was very interesting to me, though, were the number of tweets that the replies were just $7,000. $7,000. And I couldn't figure it out. Why are people responding to a tweet that is just a series of Israeli flags with just $7,000? It turns out there is a conspiracy theory among the anti-Semites that if you tweet something positive about Israel, the Jews will pay you $7,000. I sent an email. Those of you outside of Atlanta, you won't know him. Wes Ellis, he is the president of Jim Ellis, the automotive dealership. My son passed his driving test. He badly wants a Hyundai Santa Fe. Now, I think I need to actually get him to drive other cars just so he's convinced he wants that one. But I'm like, what about, they got the Palisade. You've got other car options out there. I personally like the 4Runner, even though I need a giant car because my family's not light packers. But I emailed Wes Ellis, who's the best contact for Hyundai. And I was just thinking about this. I need to get double down on my pro-Israel tweets so I can buy that car. The Jews will buy me a car if I, let's see, if I do 7 pro-Israel tweets, the Jews are going to buy my son a Hyundai, apparently. Wow. Do I get a bonus since I'm circumcised? I'm wondering, do you get like a pro-Israel bonus? You could be a part of the tribe. Give me 10,000 per tweet. Man, I could get my private jet flying. I did not know that the Jews paid per tweet. Do the Rothschilds personally show up and give me the check? Do they? I'm hoping the Rothschilds show up and say, here is your check on behalf of the tribe of Judah. Here is your check for saying nice things about us, but we need you to drop trowel and verify that you would otherwise be one of us. I don't know. It's insane to me that the anti-Semites have concocted these conspiracy theories. But what's more notable is someone like a Congresswoman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who would do this. Because once Marjorie Taylor Greene replied with a bunch of American flags, and allegedly Matt Gaetz did, the amount of additional anti-Semites who came flooding into my social media, I bring this up because we got a problem on our side. And we have to police our own side. We gotta focus on policing the people of the right as opposed to trying to police the people of the left. The left has a problem. We need to point it out. And if the left doesn't want to police the left, that's fine. But that's not an excuse for us to not police the right. And there's this growing sentiment of some people on the right that there are no enemies to the right of me because it's what the left does. Do you want to be like the left? Do you wish to behave and operate as a political movement like the left? Now, before you say they're effective, the Republicans control a majority of states, the White House, and the Congress, and they were able to capture the Supreme Court. Do you want to behave like the left? Because I hear this from the people on the right who become the permanent victims. Oh my God, Bad Bunny's playing at the Super Bowl. Why do they hate us? We must fight. Just like the left, we're going to boycott the Super Bowl. People, y'all weren't going to watch the Super Bowl anyway. You were perfectly fine when Bad Bunny played the Super Bowl in the year 2020. You didn't even know he was there. And now suddenly it's because you want to be, you have chosen to be a victim in the same way the left has chosen to be a victim. And when the left became a victim mentality, they decided there's no one to the left of me who is bad. And now those of you who want to be victims of the right, there's no one to the right of me who is bad. Marjorie Taylor Greene is stirring up the anti-Semitic pot. It is a canary in the coal mine for society. Why? Because historically, they come first for the Jews and then the Christians. And a lot of the people who claim to be Christians who stir up the anti-Semitic hate are in on the act when they come for the Christians. I had some idiot lecture me that I needed to give up dispensationalism. We don't need to get into theology here. First of all, to tell you, I go to a Reformed Presbyterian church. I'm not a dispensationalist, and the idea that my theology is flawed because I'm supporting Israel, that somehow I think there's some grand tie woven through the history of the New Testament and the Old Testament that Israel is still God's people. I'm actually from a church tradition that believes the church has supplanted it. It doesn't matter because Israel's the only democracy in the Middle East. They are our ally, and there are Americans who are held hostage by Hamas. And you will note how quiet Marjorie Taylor Greene is about them. Matt Gaetz is about them. Candace Owens is about them. Tucker Carlson is about them. The Hamasniks are about them. The anti-Semites are about them. They couldn't care less that Americans are held hostage by Hamas because all of the American hostages are Jew. That's why they're all worked up about Barry Weiss taking over CBS. She's Jewish. There's a dangerous festering on our side. The horseshoe theory is real. The people on the far left and the far right, they meet at the bottom of the horseshoe where it curves in together. And they're largely the same people. You could what was that idiot's name? Oh, come on, y'all. I nearly said a bad word on radio. She was the Black David Duke lady. Congresswoman from Cynthia Sitting. I knew I would have it in the dark recesses of my brain where I file away all those people 30 feet over runway. Cynthia McKinney. At this point, the Georgian Republicans have their own Cynthia McKinney. It's only a matter of time before we find Marjorie Taylor Greene on Greta Thunberg's boat. Kindred spirits together, going to save the Palestinians from the Jews. A little blood in the matzah. Y'all, these people are nuts. I want my $7,000 per tweet, and I'm going to tweet 7 more so that somebody buys my kid the car he wants so I don't have to take out a car loan for it. I know, stop, don't lecture me on the Dave Ramsey stuff, because just don't lecture me. I know, shouldn't take out a loan for the car, but going to happen unless I tweet 7 tweets and the Jews buy me the car. We got problems, y'all. I don't mean to start, I realize there's other news, but this one is really stunning to me. The number of people on the right who feel comfortable hating Jews and claiming it's not about Israel when it's clearly very clear about Israel. In fact, the number of the anti-Semites who start off with this is about Israel and then they pivot to the Jews, and the number of them who pivot to the Jews and then make it about Israel, it all comes back to they do not like a class of people. And they are on the right, not just the left. And they are spreading conspiracy theories. The latest conspiracy being that the Jews killed Charlie Kirk because he was upset with Jewish donors. I myself wrote criticisms of Charlie and Turning Point USA because of the number of anti-Semites that they were platforming. And it wasn't just Candace Owens. There were a number of employees within the organization who had become virulently anti-Semitic after October 7th, blaming Israel and the Jews globally for what happened, claiming it was part of a conspiracy, and I called them out on that. And the Jewish donors, who were Americans but Jewish, were a little bit horrified. They were funding a group platforming these anti-Semites. One of them decided they may stop funding the organization, and suddenly there's a conspiracy. The Jews killed Charlie Kirk. Now, remember, here's the thing. We know it was a progressive, rabid progressive activist who was into furry culture and transgenderism, and suddenly the Candace Owenses of the world and these other people are like, no, maybe it was the Jews. They're so obsessed with the Jews that they're ignoring China, they're ignoring radical Islam, they're ignoring the radical trans violent movement. Someone who identifies himself on social media as MAGA, 2024 Patriot, pure blood, no vax. Let's get back to living in a constitutional society. He tweets, we aren't suddenly blaming the Jews, Eric. This was a blatant military agency hit. They thought they did it with precision, but it was very sloppy, and they're now caught. We don't know all the details, but you've lost the American people. We don't believe the government narrative. Deep thoughts on Charlie Kirk's assassination by a rabid anti-Semite who hates the United States, who's being teased by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owen. It's fascinating the number of people who on the right are giving into this hatred and conspiracy theory. And I just, again, I don't mean to dwell, but it's necessary to dwell that there's a poison on the right, and you got to police it and you've got to drive it out, because it is historically everywhere the canary in the coal mine. First they come for the Jews, and then they come for the Christians, and many of the Christians who were okay with them coming for the Jews soon become okay with them going for the Christians, arguing they're not the right kind of Christians. You will see this fester if you don't police the right.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1220 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. All lanes being held right now on the west side perimeter. 285 southbound, Cascade Road, exit 7. Believe they're doing pothole repairs, so this is just temporary. They're holding all lanes. Hang in there. This shouldn't last too long, but it's causing delays back toward Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Over into Cobb County, left lane construction continues in both directions. 285 both north and southbound at Glenwood Road, exit 44. Traffic brought to you by Blindster.com. Blindster.com is a family business making custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Give them a try and see why over 1 million windows have trusted Blindster. I'm Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Okay, friends, it's the 5K a day bonus blitz. Your noon keyword is drink, D-R-I-N-K, drink. Enter the keyword drink into the WSB Radio app or at WSBradio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 p.m. to enter the keyword, win $1,000. The keyword is drink, D-R-I-N-K, drink. Good luck.
So, you spotted your termite guy wandering around your yard. Do you even think he knows where your bait stations are? How about go ask him, show me the bait stations? Dave Baker here for Breda Pest Management. If they can't, it's time to switch to Breda. Breda uses a complete liquid barrier, not a bait station, and your termite rate is locked in for 10 years. Breda, you had me at liquid barrier.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Welcome to Window Wisdom with North Georgia Replacement Windows. We are here with the owners and experts, Ted Kirk and Jonathan Cullum. Jonathan, when I drive around, I've noticed plenty of rotted and foggy windows. Why do so many people put off their window projects?
In our experience, they think it's going to be too expensive, or they've heard the nightmare stories of high-pressure, buy-it-now salespeople.
So, Ted, what is North Georgia Replacement Windows doing to help make this problem easier?
Well, you can start small. We allow homeowners to do as many or as few windows as they'd like at one time. We also offer a 3-year price lock guarantee on our Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows and doors, which gives you 3 full years to complete your project without worrying about the product cost going up.
Any recommendations on how to handle the unscrupulous sales tactics?
You don't deserve that. Just call us instead. We're different. We provide a stress-free experience with quick, accurate proposals without pressure or pricing games. There's plenty of good reasons why other window and door companies don't want you to see us.
You guys really do make window and door shopping simple. Is there anything else you want to add that may help someone wanting to get their window project started?
First, some advice. Do your research. All windows are not the same. Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows are beautiful, not big and bulky like vinyl composite windows. And we have some smart money plans available with 0% interest rates and some low payment plans. You can experience the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass difference in the comfort of your home, or Jonathan and I would love to personally invite you to our Alpharetta showroom where you could see the differences for yourself.
Right now at North Georgia Replacement Windows, you'll save 18% off your project, plus up to 12 months no interest, no payment financing. Get all the details. ngwindows.com. ngwindows.com.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah!
How do we fight for our beliefs while still loving our neighbors and even our enemies? This is Tom Gray with This Stuff Matters, and I'm inviting you to join me and Eric Erickson for a great meal and a great discussion around this topic. Are we at a turning point for our country? Get your tickets at thisstuffmatters.net. Thursday night, October 16th, 7 o'clock, Governor's Gun Club in Kennesaw. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
thisstuffmatters.net.
Call 1-877-CARS for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS.
Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
Anyone on the roads in North Georgia knows that tractor trailers are everywhere. For my friends in the motorcycle community, a distracted big rig could change your life forever. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler. Steel Horse Law specializes in motorcycle accidents involving trucks, and they can protect you from big corporations and their armies of lawyers. Steel Horse Law can help you get back on your feet, medical bills paid, back to work, and your case resolved. Schedule your free accident evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB. You can be live on Eric's show by calling 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-973-7425.
Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. As the voice said, should you wish to be on the program, I would be delighted to have you. Now, I gotta bring you this story of my buddy Ryan, who is a Dr. Ryan, a meteorologist, a PhD. He flagged this on Twitter. You know, the Santa Ana winds that bring all the fires in California, and we've been told it's climate change. It's always climate change. The website Science Advances has a research article that has just, this is from 2021. For all of the hysteria about the Santa Ana fires and the winds that cause the fires, it turns out from Science Advances, 100% of Santa Ana wind events are caused by humans, particularly arson. That's right, arson fires are actually greater than any other incident, but there are power lines and accidents as well, all human related. Those fires, we get worked up about climate change and the climate change starting fires. Actually, humans are starting the fires, and in many cases, it's arson out in California. And that seems to be a huge distraction for the left that wants to blame climate change for everything happening. And we're going to be, I'm sure, into hearing about all the Santa Ana winds here. And you just remember, when the fires start, the research shows, according to science.org, that 100% of the fires that have started in the Santa Ana winds are because humans started the fires. Now, I'm sure the media will instead lecture us on climate change when the fires start again. Y'all, Hillsdale College would love for you to go to ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. Sign up today with Hillsdale College, and you can take one of their free classes. They've got 40 to choose from. The capitalism class, pretty outstanding. It's 7 classes there, which consists of 7 30-minute episodes showing you what capitalism is, where it comes from, what the free market is, how it fosters a level of morality and integrity in a system of trade. You can take that class. You can take one of the Federalist Papers, still cited by the Supreme Court today on what the Constitution means. All you have to do is go to ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. Start a relationship with Hillsdale College. There's no charge for this. You'll get a certificate of completion. They've got 40 to choose from. Surely there's a class. Maybe you're into literature. They've got a great one on Shakespeare, one on C.S. Lewis. There's even one on the literature of the book of Genesis. Go to ericforhillsdale.com today. Sign up for one of their great courses. 40 to choose from. Get the certificate of completion. Never pay a penny. And understand what makes Hillsdale College so unique and why you might want to support it. ericforhillsdale.com. E-R-I-C-K. ericforhillsdale.com.
Buying a new car? Need help fixing your current car? What's the safest car for a first-time buyer? The Car Guys have the answer. Join Shelley Winter and automotive expert Kevin Deutsch this and every Saturday at 12 for all your car needs. The Car Guys, presented by Butler Lexus of South Atlanta, Saturdays at noon on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios. News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. Update on a story that we've been following out of Gwinnett County. A man and a woman are dead after a shooting inside a home on Clearwater Place in Lawrenceville. Gwinnett police are investigating right now. They say this appears to be a domestic situation. No one is in custody. Police say they are not looking for any suspects. The victims' names have not yet been released. Sunshine this afternoon and warm. Afternoon highs around 85 before it turns chilly tomorrow. We'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. This just in, a 29-year-old man has been arrested for starting the January fire that destroyed Los Angeles Pacific Palisades neighborhood. Authorities arresting 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht, who was arrested in Florida and will appear in court later today. The blaze, which erupted on January 7th, killed 12 people and destroyed more than 6,000 homes and buildings in the Pacific Palisades. Former FBI Director James Comey pleading not guilty in court today in Alexandria, Virginia. He's accused of lying to a Senate committee in 2020. In a video post after his indictment, Comey said that he's innocent, adding, quote, "Let's have a trial." A trial date is set for January 5th. New information about a lesser-known and harder-to-detect type of breast cancer. Cases are on the rise. And the American Cancer Society says this particular type of cancer doubled between 1975 and 2021.
Breast cancers in the lobules, so what makes the milk, are called lobular cancers, breast cancers, and those make up about 1 in 10 of breast cancer cases.
Dr. Celine Gounder says the study is calling for more research into this particular type of breast cancer in order to detect it and treat it. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow right now is in the green. It is up 168 points at 46,771. NASDAQ is up more than 0.5%, and so is the S&P. It's 12:32.
This is Scott Slade, updating my health story. I get a checkup every year, and last September, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number on my lab work. Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options, and I'm more optimistic than ever about a good outcome. Now, when we're talking about our health, level with your providers. If you think you have a problem, we all need expert eyes looking us over every so often. That's where virtual imaging can be invaluable. Virtual Imaging's LDCT body scan can give you time and options for early treatment, especially for cancer. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. For a limited time, Virtual Imaging is extending their core body scan offer for only $995 per scan. That's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response, they've opened up more times in both offices. But appointments will fill up fast for this offer, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. That's virtualimagingatl.com. Do it now while you still have options.
Y'all, it's Eric. Windows 10 is sunsetting. End of support on October 14th of this year. It's also my anniversary. No end of support for my marriage, just end of support for your computer if you're on Windows 10. You got to update. Now, what does that mean, end of support? It means Microsoft is going to stop issuing security patches for your computer if you're on Windows 10. So you actually do need to update for your own good and safety, and Vision Computers can help you transfer to Windows 11. How do you do it? You call them at 404-COMPUTE and say, Eric sent you, I need some help. They can get you upgraded to Windows 11. It is for your own good and safety and that of your company that you move to Windows 11 because of the security updates, if nothing else. So call Vision Computer at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. Tell them Eric sent you. You might be able to save some money. You got to get it done before October 14th. Because you're not going to get security patches from Microsoft after that for Windows 10. Let Vision Computer take care of you. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather, Alex Williams.
Still watching the road work. All the crashes have cleared out of the work zone, Sabrina, over on the east side, but you're still slow. Left lane blocked both ways, 285 north and southbound around Glenwood Road. Still watching the volume into the city heading southbound. No crashes in the way, just some brake lights starting southbound from the 85-400 merge into Midtown and downtown. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy skies today, high 85, lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow, breezy as cooler air moves in, highs in the upper 60s to low 70s. Friday, mostly sunny, morning low 53, afternoon high 72.
All right, more news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens, 95.5 WSB.
All right, here's a wild one for you. As y'all know, I am a big fan of Greek and Roman history. Oh, gosh, I grew up overseas and went to Greece when I was in 9th grade. It was one of the coolest things ever. The Roman Empire, every man thinks about the Roman Empire. Here's a wild, wild story for you. A husband and wife were cleaning out overgrown vines in their backyard in New Orleans, Louisiana, in the River Bend section of New Orleans. They bought a little shotgun house for the two of them. They're cleaning out their vines, and they stumble upon a giant cube of marble with a bunch of abbreviations and names written in Latin. Turns out it's a 2,000-year-old marker for a member of the Roman Imperial Navy from 100 AD. Yeah, it's a real artifact. It is a completely real artifact, a giant cube. It was a marker of some kind for a member of the Roman Imperial Navy, and it wound up in their backyard in New Orleans and has been sitting there. It was actually documented to be in a museum in Italy in World War II. The museum was bombed in 1943, and they assumed that this piece of marble had been destroyed in the bombing because they couldn't find it. Nobody has any idea how it wound up in the backyard of a shotgun house in New Orleans, Louisiana, but it did. It has been verified as authentic and by the museum as their owner. It's just fascinating to me that something like this. Nobody has any idea how it wound up in New Orleans in the backyard. Maybe the Jews did it. Let's get Candace Owens on this one, y'all. All right. I want to go to Jay calling. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. Jay, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. What's going on?
Okay, first thing first, I want to say congratulations to your son because, now he's amongst the rest of us driving legally. And
listen. You pray for yourself because he's going to be on the road.
Well, if he ever comes to Atlanta, he'll be in good company if he's, a distracted driver. But you said he was a great driver, so
yeah,
I think I'll be safe with him on the road.
Good. All right.
Okay, so and my second question before I get into my comment is it okay to mention the names of or the name of anybody else on your flagship station on their show?
Probably ought not to, just to be diplomatic about it.
Okay, I won't mention any names, but I was listening to the radio after the news and weather had gone off, and somebody did mention the I guess they were text messages screenshots that Ms. Candace Owens said were belonged to Mr. Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And what that person said, and I didn't do any research or anything, I just was listening. He said that a gentleman who considered Mr. Charlie Kirk one of his best friends did authenticate, I guess you could say, the text messages, and he said, they were correct, they were true, I had seen them or whatever. And he said that, if I'm not mistaken, that the gentleman, just to cover all bases, did make the FBI aware of that, just, to cover all bases, for getting justice for his very close friend.
Yeah. So, hang on, just so people know, in a private group chat that has been verified, Charlie was venting because some of the donors to TPUSA, one large donor in particular, wanted him to clean up what he thought was virulent anti-Semitism within TPUSA. or the guy was going to cancel his check. And in fact, I think had basically threatened to get rid of the check. Now, and you should understand as well that some of the comments made by some of the people who were employees beyond Candace Owens was actually really virulently anti-Semitic, including one of them accusing Zionism of being communism, and another for suggesting that it was actually the Jews who killed the people on October 7th and not Hamas.
Okay. And that was like the next part of my comment. As a Black and as a Christian, I have seen the demonizing of the Jew, the demonizing of the white, particularly the white male, and the demonizing of my people, the Black. And what I feel that is the best thing to do for all of us, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything, because, as a Christian, we have one judge, and that's the Lord God Jesus Christ. And I have so many sins, I can't talk about anybody else's
You and me
sins.
both.
But, amen. But my thing is, I think that the best way outside of, prayer to the Lord to counter hatred and the danger that it presents, because first you have hatred in the heart, and then people start to manifest that with physical actions like killing people. And so my thing is that there is so much information online, and a lot of us don't know, because we weren't there when things took place, whether or not the information is true, whether or not it's false. And so I think that as an American, when people call my country that I love, and I've loved since I was a child, when people call my country like the great Satan or Israel the little Satan, I think that in fairness, we can look back in history and see why people would say that about anybody's politicians. But at the same time, we have to be honest as human beings around the world and recognize that just because my politician did this or my military did that does not mean that I was for that.
Yes.
Which is the exact same thing.
Well,
I'm sorry,
so listen, I appreciate the feedback a ton, and let me just add a couple things here, that it's always the great Satan and the little Satan, or the United States and Israel. All of these people turn their ire towards the United. We're not a perfect country, as you noted. We're all sinners. That's why I'm a conservative. I want as few sinners in charge of me as possible, so I want the smallest government possible. I want a government so small you can drown it in a teacup. But what they do is they take these individual acts and weave together this narrative that, for example, the Jews are our puppet masters, and that we are acting in a way that we are controlled by the Jews. It's a really, really sinister plot. And they weave disconnected points together and force them to fit into a puzzle to provide a narrative to hate what? Not a country, but a class of people. They always say this river to sea call and what it's about Israel, but you wait around long enough and you see they have a problem with the Jews. It's not a problem with Israel. It's not a problem with a nation. It's a problem with the people. And they are ultimately classifying that people as the little Satan and us as the great Satan. And you will notice that the undercurrent of so much of the anti-Semitism out there is a hatred of the United States. And you should understand where modern anti-Semitism comes from beyond Hitler. In the Middle East after World War II, Israel had a choice. It could go with the Soviets or it could go with the Americans. And Israel chose to go with the United States. And Syria and Egypt combined as a single nation for a time and sided with the Soviet Union. And the Muslim Brotherhood became elevated. And it was the Soviets who began to propagandize about the Jews being the little Satan. And one of the reasons was because a number of the refugees who came to the United States from the Soviet Union were Jews. And they became very prominent denouncers of the Soviet-era communism. And to discredit them, they were blamed as being puppet masters of the United States. It's a slur to attack Jews and ultimately to undermine the Jewish people, because after World War II, the Israelis ultimately definitively sided with the United States against the Soviet Union. For a time, they were friendly with both. But as Egypt and Syria became very pro-Soviet prior to Egypt and Syria breaking up and not being a nation anymore, and then you had Egypt and Israel under Jimmy Carter found peace together. The virulent anti-Semitism was Soviet propaganda. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the Chinese are propping up so much of the same sort of propaganda today. I just don't think it's a coincidence at all that you see so many of the talking points circulating on TikTok about the Jews and anti-Semitism, and China controls that propaganda. And if you go out and you get a new phone, it's no way traceable to you, not on your Wi-Fi, anything like that, and you just start an account on TikTok, you're going to see a lot of anti-Semitism crop up because the Chinese are steering the algorithm to attacking the Jews. Why? Because in the Middle East, a lot of the Iran in particular is allied with China. And to destabilize Israel, they're essentially running social campaigns and cultural campaigns against Israel by attacking the Jewish people. It is coordinated by the Chinese Communist Party. That, by the way, is not a conspiracy theory. That is well documented that China is shaping the TikTok algorithm to fester anti-Semitism, and it comes at a time the Chinese have decided to make their bed with Iran and have an alliance with Iran for Iranian oil. And now what they're doing is they're festering this stuff. And Jay, I would just tell you that it's somewhat of a cop-out to say I wasn't there. Because you have the Turning Point USA people saying, yeah, the messages are authentic. We had a group chat and he was blowing off steam, venting about this Jewish donor who was cutting money because of what some of the employees of TP USA did. One of them actually posited that one of the women murdered by Hamas was actually alive. The donors were funding TP USA, who had on the payroll a woman who claimed 3 days after Hamas attacked Israel that one of the murdered Israelis was actually alive. And it was a lie to say Hamas had killed her. And the donors were incensed. And Charlie was apparently venting about it in this group chat. And Candace Owens has seized on that opportunity to yet again sow the threads of discord that clearly it was the Jews. Now, this is very, very important for every single one of you to understand this. What Candace Owens is doing is she's taking away from who the murderer actually was. We know who the murderer was. His name is Tyler Robinson. We know from Tyler Robinson's text messages why he killed Charlie Kirk. He hated his politics. In particular, Tyler Robinson was a transgender advocate who was dating a man who was transitioning to be a woman. They were into very deviant sexual stuff on the internet. And he killed Charlie Kirk because of that. And when you buy into the anti-Semitic narrative that it was the Jews who killed Charlie Kirk, what you are doing is you're removing the license of killing from Tyler Robinson and the blame of Tyler Robinson to a larger global conspiracy, and you're diminishing what actually happened. You're taking the truth and perverting it to conspiracy to serve your own agenda, as opposed to acknowledging what actually happened. And there's a demented kind of evil when you do that. And so for anyone to sit out there and say, well, I don't really know now because one person says this and one person says that, we have God-given discernment that too many people don't use anymore to determine who is telling you the truth. And here is what you have to know, which is we know Tyler Robinson did it. We know he confessed to his family. We have the email text chain between him and his transitioning partner. We have his statements to his family that he hated Charlie Kirk and that his hate couldn't be negotiated with, his hate of the transgender people. We have all of these things. You either accept the facts or concoct a conspiracy to tie things together that can't be tied together except in a mind that has lost the ability to discern the truth. And it's a very unhealthy mind that cannot navigate this and decide, well, I can't trust the government. I'm going to trust this person I've never met on the internet who's telling me It's the Jews. And your biggest red flag should be they think everything is related to the Jews.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1250 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Trouble just moved off to the right downtown, 75-85 and northbound. Up around I-20 exit 247. Still some delays from University Avenue. Now on the south side perimeter, we have that rolling construction now heading eastbound. 285 eastbound, the outer loop just east of I-75. That's impacting 1 to 2 left lanes, causing delays back around the airport. Traffic brought to you by the International Hot Rod Association. International Hot Rod Association and Duran Hybrid, where the road of the engine meets the torque of the wrench, building champions on the track and in the trades. Get your tickets at ihra.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
On air, online, on the app, where you get your news is where you'll win. Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
Oh my God!
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every weekday.
I just won $1,000.
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app. The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
Your next chance to win is at 2 p.m.
If you're ignoring any cracked bricks or concrete cracks, you could be ignoring underlying foundation problems. You'll want to get ahead of these problems sooner rather than later. Don't wait any longer. Visit AquaGuard.net today to book your free inspection. Remember,
AquaGuard. Better prices, better views. Window comfort, meant just for you. Window comfort.
Window Comfort's exclusive window line is built for Georgia's extreme heat and guaranteed to lower your energy bills. Right now, get buy 2, get 2 free with no payments till 2026. Schedule your no-pressure estimate today at windowcomfort.com.
Better prices, better views. Window comfort, meant just for you. Window comfort.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, every week on the show, we offer folks something we call the Portfolio X-Ray. I was hoping you could walk us through that process and tell us why the information it uncovers is so powerful.
Yeah, so the reason we love doing the Portfolio X-Ray for you is we do that behind the scenes. Everybody's extremely busy. Nobody wants to waste time in traffic. If you call in, we will ask you for some information via the phone. Once you've given us that information, we go to work and we put all the hours in developing the report. And I commit this to you. The Portfolio X-Ray is eye-opening. At least 90+% of the time, we can find 2 or 3 golden nuggets in there that you were not aware of that we can either change in your current portfolio mix for you. It's called a 401k optimizer. Or if we manage the assets for you, we certainly can recommend how to diversify away from some of the troubling points that are exposed during the Portfolio X-ray. Once we've got that, then we'll have you in for your initial consultation. We will present the Portfolio X-ray to you and walk you through the high points of it. And that's a document that you get to take with you. It's like getting a financial physical. Mm-hmm. So how many of you avoided going to the doctor for the annual physical last year? You do the same thing with your financial life. You ignore it. You keep pumping money into your 401k. You hope that it's going well, and I can tell you that hope is not a good investment or financial planning strategy. You need to know. So if you want to know, call us.
The Portfolio X-Ray is complimentary. Give Hoffman Financial Group a call to schedule yours today. 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Your non-stop news source. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Missed part of today's show? Catch it again in full with the Eric Erickson Show 24/7 live stream. Available at ericerickson.com. Stream enabled for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Yeah, my goodness. I'm still today getting emails, and we're still getting phone calls. One of our stations replayed the show overnight, like 4 o'clock in the morning. I had no idea I had as many listeners at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning as I did, and they're all furious. And you look, there are plenty of options for you to still listen if you really want to listen. But I at this point, there's nothing I can. It wasn't my call. So you can listen to me live during the day. You can get the podcast, live stream, whatever you need. Just text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. Jay Jones is canceling fundraisers. Now, here's the headline. This is from Axios. Jay Jones cancels Virginia fundraiser amid 2 bullets backlash. Notice the headline is designed to downplay what actually happened. Him saying he wanted to put 2 bullets in the back of the head of the Republican speaker. He has now scrubbed a fundraiser from his website, indicating he is in crisis mode. It was going to be at the home of David Baldacci, the novelist. Tim Kaine was supposed to appear. Tim Kaine, by the way, says he's still supportive. And yesterday, by the way, I got to correct myself. It was Tim Kaine, not Mark Warner. Yesterday I said it was Mark Warner. When George Allen was then the senator from Virginia, Tim Kaine said George Allen saying macaca was a racist disqualification. But now Tim Kaine does not believe it is a disqualification for Jay Jones to say putting 2 bullets, he wanted to put 2 bullets in the back of the head of the speaker in Virginia. You got that double standard there. It's a very interesting double standard that Tim Kaine was totally okay with saying it was disqualifying to say macaca, and Tim Kaine is not at all okay with saying that what's his name? That Jay Jones needs to be disqualified. The double standard here is appalling. They just want power. That's what this is about. If Jay Jones were 30 points behind in the polling, every Democrat in Virginia would be throwing him overboard. But the race is still tied in Virginia, and the Democrats who say Republicans are all about power, we're people of integrity. No, they're not. They're proving they're not. They want to yell at us about no moral authority. These people have no moral authority on the Democratic side. None. Did y'all see, if you got my 4 Things to Know podcast, text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. Get the 4 Things to Know podcast. Gold is now over $4,000 a troy ounce. A lot of other governments are ditching the United States as currency, as a reserve currency, and they're putting it in gold. A lot of people, because they're concerned about American turmoil, are moving to gold. It's soaring right now. Swiss America has been warning people about a secret war on cash for some time. They are the nation's trusted leader in precious metals and have been for 40 years. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. If you're interested in learning about the secret war on cash, all you have to do is get their free report. It takes less than 15 minutes to read, and you get a completely free copy by calling or texting 800-289-2646. By the way, that includes digital forms of currency. You got to watch out for that. The government comes for you. 800-289-2646. Just text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. Text or call 800-289-2646 and just text Eric, E-R-I-C-K. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. Let Swiss America help you. One more time, 800-289-2646. Text my name. Message and data rates may apply.
The news of the day through the eyes of Eric Von Hessler.
This might help, young man. This might cure what ails you.
If it's on your mind, it's on his.
I run a stupid little radio show. I don't care. Have fun.
Eric Von Hessler, today at 3.
Your friend, Eric Von Hessler, the common sense host.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why the big wireless companies want you on an unlimited plan? It's because they need you to help cover the cost of the 20-somethings who are using a lot of data every month. Fact is, according to the latest research studies, most people 50 and up, like me, only use 12 gigs or less each month. Don't get bamboozled by big wireless. At Consumer Cellular, Pick what suits your needs, whether it's 1 gig, 5, 10, or unlimited. The point is, pay for exactly what you need and nothing more. We use the same towers as the big guys, but since we don't own and maintain them, we can pass the savings on to you. Our plans start at just $20 a month, and you'll get the best customer service in the business. I want to invite you to join the millions of people who choose something better than Big Wireless, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. Let's start with your money. Jim Krasula reporting this afternoon on a concerning new economic gauge.
It's the latest sign of financial concerns and caution for many Americans. Consumers cut back on their use of credit cards in August as households struggle with stubborn inflation, uncertainty over tariffs, and a tougher job market. Credit card balances have declined 2.5% in the past 12 months, the largest drop since the height of the pandemic in 2020.
Now, credit card balances were rising at a 5% rate as recently as August of last year. All right, sunny and warm this afternoon, headed for a high of 85, then downright chilly tomorrow. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. Former FBI Director James Comey pleading not guilty today to charges of obstruction of justice and making false statements. The case is connected to Comey's testimony before Congress in 2020. He's accused of lying to the Senate Judiciary Committee about leaking information from the FBI's Trump-Russia investigation that started in 2016. A trial date has been set for January 5th. Now to Gwinnett County. A man and a woman found dead after a shooting inside a home on Clearwater Place in Lawrenceville. Gwinnett police investigating. They say it appears to be a domestic incident. No one's in custody. Police say they are not looking for any suspects. The victims have not yet been identified. While divorce rates are declining overall, there are still more than a dozen states with rates significantly higher than the national average, and Georgia is among them. According to the Census Bureau, the divorce rate declined 28% overall between 2012 and 2022. Data found that the national divorce rate was 7.1 new divorces per every 1,000 women. While Arkansas, Wyoming, Kentucky, West Virginia, Oklahoma round out the top 5 of places with a higher rate, Georgia coming in at number 10. However, on the other side, there are states like California, Illinois, New York that were significantly lower when it comes to divorce rates. The marriage rate, by the way, has remained pretty steady since 2012. The Census Bureau saying that the one exception was a dip in 2021, possibly due to the COVID-19 pandemic delaying weddings. And we told you about it earlier last hour. A 29-year-old has now been arrested for starting that January fire that destroyed Los Angeles' Pacific Palisades neighborhood. Authorities arresting 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknight. He was arrested in Florida. He'll appear in court later today. That blaze, which was started on January 7th, killed 12 people and destroyed more than 6,000 homes. It's 102.
I'm actually making meatballs on the front porch this Sunday for football and for baseball playoff season, and I got the ground beef from Omaha Steaks, and you can take advantage of an amazing deal like I did. I even use my discount code, Eric. You go to omahasteaks.com. You get 50% off site-wide. You get an extra 20% off select favorites. And then you get an extra $35 off by using promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. What did I order? I ordered ground beef. I ordered fillets that were bacon-wrapped. I ordered the boneless, skinless chicken breasts. What else did I get? I got some New York strips, and I did get the Argentinian red tail shrimp. I got it all at Omaha Steaks, and I used my own discount code, and I saved big. It's 50% off site-wide, 20% off select favorites, and then you get an extra $35 off with promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K. All you have to do is go to omahasteaks.com today and load up.
Attention men, does ED and PE have you down? Well, great news. Choice Men's Health has the latest breakthrough treatments that can get you up and running. Meet the specialist who is dedicated to helping you perform better than ever in the bedroom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Katz, Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Our custom treatment plans have a 98% success rate at improving ED and PE on your very first visit, even if Viagra and Cialis have failed. Regardless of your age and medical history, we are here and dedicated to help you regain your love life.
Don't wait. Call Choice Men's Health now. We are so confident we can help. For a limited time, we're offering to cover your first treatment for free. Call 404-400-1170. Call now to claim your free treatment. 404-400-1170. Results guaranteed on your first visit or it's free. 404-400-1170. Choice Men's Health, the only choice for your health.
Switch your termite protection to Breda Pest Management, and your rate is locked in for 10 years. And Breda's termite guarantee is unmatched in the industry.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Is painting the house on your project list? Make this the last time you paint with Rhino Shield, backed by a 25-year warranty.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
All right, live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Brake lights on the south side perimeter. That rolling construction is now on the outer loop, 285 eastbound as you leave I-75 toward Jonesboro Road there in the left lane. So that is slowing you back through those airport tunnels. Also watching construction, 75-85 northbound approaching University Avenue, exit 244 downtown. That is in the right lane. And just seeing southbound delays for the Wednesday afternoon heading into Midtown and downtown from the 85-400 merge down to North Avenue. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy skies today, high 85, lows tonight in the low 60s. Cooler, drier air moving in for tomorrow, breezy as well, high 71. Friday, mostly sunny, morning low 53, afternoon high 72.
It is 83 degrees here in Midtown Atlanta. We'll have more news at 1:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Hello there, it is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be delighted to have you. There's a story about Marjorie Taylor Greene in NBC News about her standing up to the Republican Party. I mean, she's transitioning to a Democrat, but there's actually something larger here. Let me just read you part of this, and I realize it's NBC, but there's a point here, and remember she stirred the anti-Semitism pot yesterday on October 7th. When the White House discouraged Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene from launching a Senate bid in Georgia this year, Greene agreed to back off her statewide ambitions. I actually wish she would have run, nonetheless. That doesn't mean the firebrand Republican was going to back down from other fights she felt were worth waging, including within her own party. Over the past 6 months, Greene has made waves in Washington for publicly breaking with Trump and the GOP on a number of high-profile issues and lobbying some pointed attacks at her fellow Republicans in the process. She was critical of the Trump administration's strikes on Iran, referred to the situation in Gaza as a genocide, signed her name to an effort to force a House vote on requiring the Justice Department to release the Epstein files, sided with Democrats in calling for an extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. She says, I'm not some sort of blind slave to the president. I don't think anyone should be. I serve in Congress. We're a separate branch of government, and I'm not elected by the president. I'm not elected by anybody that works in the White House. I'm elected by my district. That's who I work for. Listen, I know her district, and I don't think they want to expand Obamacare, and that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to do with the Democrats is expand Obamacare. I know the people in her district. They're not anti-Semites. Marjorie Taylor Greene is. In fact, I know a number of people in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district who have to use Barry Loudermilk's office for constituent services because Greene's office is terrible at constituent service. She's great at getting attention for herself. She's actually bad at being a congresswoman. Those of you outside of Georgia probably don't know this, but inside Georgia, it's well known that if you're a business in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district and you need something from Washington for your business, you've got to go to Barry Loudermilk or Rich McCormick or one of the other members of Congress around her district because she's terrible constituent services. Her entire staff is mobilized to get her attention, not to actually work with the constituents of her district. And the way she's getting attention right now is to stand up to Donald Trump on a host of issues. Let's just be real honest here. What's going on? Marjorie Taylor Greene is a political opportunist and an anti-Semite who is a not great congresswoman whose constituents have to go to other congressmen in Georgia to get work done if they need constituent help because she's too busy getting attention for herself. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, being an opportunist, sees opportunity here. Now, just for perspective, just so you understand, Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she first ran for Congress, was going to run in Georgia's 6th congressional district against Karen Handel, who had been a congresswoman and was running again, having lost in an election. She was going to run again, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was pivoting herself as a reasonably moderate suburban Republican. And then the 11th district came up, or whichever district it was, she decided to run in. What it was, Tom Graves had been the congressman there, and she decided to run as a firebrand conservative. Instead, she pivoted from being a more moderate centrist Republican to a firebrand conservative. She doesn't really have any core-defining principles other than promotion of herself. The reason Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing what she's doing, though, is a signal to the rest of the party. Not that she wants to become a Democrat, although I think she probably does, but that Donald Trump is becoming a lame duck. Every president becomes a lame duck. It's inevitable. The president is term limited. He can stir the pot on 2028, but he's going to be too old anyway. Even if he wanted to run, he couldn't. He's precluded by the Constitution. There are lots of people on the right who love to read the Constitution creatively when it comes to Donald Trump getting a third term, but I can assure you Donald Trump cannot do it. And before you pick up the phone, Boomer, and call me and say, well, he could become J.D. Vance's vice president, and Vance could resign, and he could become president again. No, sorry, Bob. They thought of that one. You might not have, but the people who wrote the amendment to term limit the presidency did. Listen, I don't mean to pick on those of you older than me, but it is inevitably, I will be at a conference, I'll be speaking somewhere, and someone in their 60s or 70s comes up, and it's like they had this profound idea no one in the entire world has ever had before, and that's, why don't you do this in making vice president? The Republicans wanted to do it to Ronald Reagan in 1988. And the lawyer said, no, sirree, Bob, you can't do it. Why? Because the way the Constitution works is a president can only serve 2 terms. And the vice president of the United States must meet the qualifications for president of the United States. So if you want to be vice president, you got to meet the qualifications of president. The president can only serve 2 terms. Therefore, the vice president of the United States who has served 2 terms as president is disqualified from being president of the United States. They literally thought about that when they were writing the amendment. So he's gone after this term. We're in the run-up to the midterms. Usually lame duck status doesn't really start until after the midterms, but it's starting with Trump. And the early warning indicators, Marjorie Taylor Greene's defiance. She doesn't care. She intends to outlast Donald Trump. And she's charting a post-Trump future. Remember one of her arrogant little tweets when she was disagreeing on Israel and bombing Iran was that I'm MAGA. In her comfortable shoes, Marjorie Taylor Greene, keyboard warrior, took to the internet to declare, I am MAGA. Not Trump, her. In her singular egotistical fashion, she declared she is MAGA. She sees what's coming. The vacuum. In the history of populist movements, when the populist, charismatic figure leaves the stage, the movement collapses. In every major populist movement around the world, when the populist leader goes away, the movement splinters and collapses. Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't a dumb person. She just plays one on TV. She sees where this is headed. After Donald Trump leaves, J.D. Vance may be able to hold on to the movement for a little while. But J.D. Vance is not Donald Trump. He's a charismatic politician in his own right. He's smart as a whip. But he's not Trump. There actually is a historic tie-in here, and that is Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a conservative, but he was a populist conservative, and Ronald Reagan talked about using his conservative values to push populist issues in a conservative direction. He was very canny this way. And while there are lots of mythologies by progressives that he was struggling with Alzheimer's at the end of his administration, you can actually put up a montage of Ronald Reagan engaging with the press in January of 1989 before he left office, and Joe Biden, and there's no comparison. Reagan is coherent, sharp, making jokes, knows the people in the room without prompting. Joe Biden is like, no comparison. And a lot of people on the right, because Reagan had over 50% popularity. And George H.W. Bush, by design, cast his first term as Ronald Reagan's third term. Only when George H.W. Bush began to stretch his legs as his own man did people, particularly Republicans, turn on him. It turned out he wasn't Reagan's third term. He was betraying the Reagan tax-cutting legacy and raising taxes, and it was game over for George H.W. Bush. J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or whoever, I saw the Daily Mail has this thing that Ted Cruz is quietly talking to donors about maybe he's got a shot in 2028, that there will be a splintered populist wing of the party between Rubio and Vance, and he could consolidate conservatives. I don't know that that's true or not. But I think Marjorie Taylor Greene understands she intends to stay after Donald Trump leaves, and she's beginning to chart her own path. Now, it's an insane anti-Semitic path. It's out of line with the voters of her district. I know those people. They're good, hardworking Americans, and they do not hate Jews. They love Israel. They're pro-Israel. They don't want Obamacare expanded. She's out of step with her district. She benefits from a degree to a media vacuum there. She gets on television, rabble-rousing, and nobody pays attention to the fact that she's now siding with the Democrats to expand Obamacare. But she's charting a path forward because Donald Trump's a lame duck. Now, there's a way for Donald Trump to assert himself right now before the midterms. Trump could absolutely assert himself. Trump could go find someone in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district and endorse that person to run against Marjorie. He would have a massive fundraising pool because Jewish donors around America, they sure would. And Marjorie would go absolutely insane attacking Jews and become a vile anti-Semite, which would just spur on others. But Trump could go find someone and use Marjorie as an example. He's not going to do that, though. He still likes her. The White House hates her, by the way. The people in the White House do not like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They think she's a bully. They think she's rude. But the president's not going to primary her. But the president may want to reconsider that because otherwise she's calling his bluff. He's a lame duck now. He can't do anything to her. He's a lame duck because he can't run anymore. He has clout to shape the upcoming midterm election cycle, and that's it. And when the midterms are over, the conversation turns to 2028 and who will replace him. And he wants J.D. Vance. He's already made that clear. He said nice things about Rubio, but he's talked up Vance a lot. Vance needs to study up on George H.W. Bush, because George H.W. Bush embraced the idea of being the legacy of Ronald Reagan. Bush never was, but J.D. Vance was. J.D. Vance at one point was with me, defined as a never-Trumper. We both changed our minds. But Vance is not necessarily ideologically aligned perfectly with Trump in the same way George H.W. Bush was a moderate establishment Republican, but he got on board the Reagan agenda and rode it to his own reelection, where he then decided to strut his stuff and be his own man and collapse the house of cards of the populist movement that Reagan built within the Republican Party. This could happen too, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is smart enough to see and know that populist movements tend to fracture over time when the big guy leaves, and Donald Trump, whether y'all like it or not, is going to leave in 2029. January 20th, 2029 will be his last day in office and the first day in office of his successor in office. At noon on that day, they will slide the football from one guy to the next. That is the briefcase with the nuclear codes. You can actually watch it happen on stage as the man subtly shifts his seat from one president to the next and moves the briefcase with him. It's the transition of power. Happens every time there's a new president. At noon on January 20th of that odd-numbered year after a presidential election. And what will become of MAGA? Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to rebuild, I guess, part of the Ron Paul coalition. Fill it with the anti-Semites, except where Ron Paul hated government, Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to expand Obamacare. It's only going to get worse for Donald Trump. He's becoming a lame duck. The only way for Donald Trump to forestall his decline in power within the Republican Party is to crack down now on those within Congress who would choose to chart a new path right now before he's out at the door. Lame duck status is inevitable. It happens to every single president of the United States. The question is when it begins to happen. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is an early warning indicator for Donald Trump. He doesn't have much time left to be the leader of the Republican Party, and he can extend it, but he'd have to make an example of her, and he's not going to do it.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
121 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still watching the big jam on the south side perimeter. 285 eastbound stacked up, leaving Riverdale Road over to this rolling left lane construction approaching Jonesboro Road exit 55. Elsewhere in DeKalb, left lane construction continues both ways. 285 both north and southbound at Glenwood Road, exit number 44. We're also watching a crash out in Lithonia. It's on Turner Hill Road southbound right at I-20. The right lane of Turner Hill is blocked, so it's really jamming up that ride if you're trying to make your way southbound toward I-20. Traffic brought to you by Scott Antique Market. The Scott Antique Markets is this weekend. There's no telling what you'll find. Visit the Atlanta Expo Centers at I-285 and Jonesboro Road. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend. ScottAntiqueMarket.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When the news matters to you.
The massive project at 285 and Georgia 400 has been a big improvement.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
The latest incident comes when a SWAT team is called after a suspect.
Your 24/7 news
They
source.
had no ties to a gang.
When you need the story, all you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
You know you want a luxurious deck, but you're feeling overwhelmed with so many options. It's enough to make your head spin. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors. Maybe you know exactly what your dream deck looks like. We can build that. If not, we offer design help and expert guidance to create a beautiful, high-quality deck that you'll enjoy every day. Decks done differently, decks done right, with exceptional customer service at a reasonable price. Get your free estimate, Google Nelson Exteriors.
The foods we eat can be downright bad for our health. This is Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've been teaching the truth about real bread. Not the stuff you buy at the store. I'm talking real bread made with freshly milled flour. When you buy bread from the store, take a look at the ingredients. Enriched flour means that the nutritious bran and germ has been removed to improve the shelf life. Then a few B vitamins and iron are added back to replace the multitude of nutrients lost. That's not enrichment in my book. And today, that label may even read contains bioengineered food ingredients. Food should never be bioengineered. At Bread Beckers in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real bread loaded with fiber and nutrients. A delicious, healthy, affordable solution that can improve your health and change your life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Starting a business takes grit and fortitude, but to keep it going requires taking care of customers like family. That's our motto, and my family's been sticking to it for decades. Hi, this is Daniel Jape, and you can count on Jape Services to provide quality care and price transparency for your home's heating, cooling, and plumbing needs. At Jape Services, we're a family-run business, and I personally guarantee to treat you like family as well. JapeServices.com.
Jape Services.
Save money by getting pre-approved for your next auto loan at Coosa Valley Credit Union. We offer the most competitive interest rates in the market, as low as 3.49 APR when you open an account with direct deposit. This is Andy Harris, President of Coosa Valley Credit Union, inviting you to stop in a branch near you. You'll experience kinder banking with real people, not automation. Plus, with 11 locations in Northwest Georgia, we're always local and nearby.
Contact 706-235-8551 for more details. Equal Opportunity Lender.
Hi, it's Dale with TrustDale.com, and for over a decade, I've trusted America's Best Choice for windows, doors, sidings, and decks. And with their 3-way warranty, including my $10,000 Make It Right guarantee, you can invest with confidence.
That's right, Dale. America's Best Choice offers highest quality, energy-efficient windows and special pricing on custom decks. We also offer beautiful siding, doors, and now roofing, all with no pressure, no gimmicks. Visit abcwin.com for your free in-home estimate. America's Best Choice. Quality you can trust, prices you can afford.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why the big wireless companies want you on an unlimited plan? It's because they need you to help cover the cost of the 20-somethings who are using a lot of data every month. Fact is, according to the latest research studies, most people 50 and up, like me, only use 12 gigs or less each month. Don't get bamboozled by big wireless. At Consumer Cellular, pick what suits your needs. Whether it's 1 gig, 5, 10, or unlimited, the point is, pay for exactly what you need and nothing more. We use the same towers as the big guys, but since we don't own and maintain them, we can pass the savings on to you. Our plans start at just $20 a month, and you'll get the best customer service in the business. I want to invite you to join the millions of people who choose something better than big wireless. Because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Let's see if I can take Jose's phone call from Jacksonville real quick. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, how are you today?
Great.
I had a quick question. I apologize. I'm sure you covered it before, but I do look to you for education while I'm eating lunch. I have 2 kids in the military, worried to death about how they're going to pay their rent next month. And I wanted to take your take on how that is possible in the United States of America to not pay military personnel while the politicians are playing games in Washington. Thank you.
Yeah, well, okay, Jose, listen, pay for the military went out this past week, so that one got taken care of. It was funded. The next pay period for the military is going to be next Friday, not this coming Friday, but next Friday, and there will be no paycheck coming unless the Democrats reopen the government, which probably isn't going to happen. So where does this go forward? Until it's reopened, they don't get their pay. Once it's reopened, they get their back pay. A lot of landlords and others accommodate military and federal employee tenants during government shutdowns. Banks allow waivers for mortgage payments. Car loan companies tend to allow waivers. You have to provide them notice that you're a federal employee, particularly those in the military. But they are almost in every single case willing to work with federal employees as long as they're not presently behind on payments. So I would tell your family members they need to be proactive right now, making sure that landlords, banks, anybody they owe money to understands what's going on. And eventually they will get paid. Now, I want to save you all some money if you need a computer by going to Vision Computers. You can go to 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com, and you can let them build you a new computer, upgrade your existing computer, make you Windows 11 compliant. You know, Windows 10 ceases updates for security on October 14th. Easy for me to remember because it's my anniversary. October 14th, you get no more security patches for Windows 10. You got to be Windows 11 compliant to stay up to date on security, viruses, and patches to avoid hacks and malware, things like that. Vision Computer can bring you up to speed and up to date. All you have to do is reach out to them at 404-COMPUTE, anybody nationwide. Tell them I sent you, 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. If you tell them I sent you, you may save a little extra money. They're really good people. If you need managed IT for your office, they can save you money there. And your employees don't get an AI chatbot to deal with. They get an actual human being, which makes them more efficient, keeps them focused on their job while Vision Computer is focused on your computers. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. Let them build your computer. Let them be managed IT. Let them get you Windows 11 compliant. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. Tell them Eric sent you.
All the notifications you need.
This story developing in Marietta.
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
We're following breaking news in Atlanta.
All in one place.
The 95.5 WSB app.
Download it today.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's news and talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. Now to Gwinnett County. A man and woman dead after a shooting inside a home on Clearwater Place in Lawrenceville. Corporal Ryan Winderweedle with Gwinnett Police telling us.
The incident's believed to be domestic between the two people in the home. They believe they knew each other.
The victims have not yet been identified. All right, your weather for today. Sunny this afternoon and warm. Highs around 85, then downright chilly come tomorrow, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. She'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. Atlanta police this afternoon investigating a stabbing at the Midtown MARTA station. Police found a body of a man on the sidewalk at Peachtree Place Street. He had been stabbed in the back. The victim was taken to the hospital in stable condition, and there are no suspects identified at this time. Federal employees here in Metro Atlanta are reacting to news that the Trump administration may block back pay for furloughed workers as the government is shut down. Yolanda Jacobs has been a federal employee for 2 decades. She tells WSB.
That creates a crisis for people.
Now, Jacobs says federal workers will be in an even more dire situation financially if they don't receive back pay. A law passed during the first Trump administration is supposed to guarantee all federal workers back pay. While we're talking about your money, consumers cut back on using their credit cards in August as households struggled with stubborn inflation, uncertainty over tariffs, and a tougher job market. Credit card balances have declined 2.5% in the past year, the largest drop since the height of the pandemic in 2020. Credit card balances were rising at a 5% rate as recently as August of last year. Suicide rates among young adults on the rise again. CDC data showing suicide rates for those aged 18 to 27 rose nearly 20%. Between 2014 and 2024, the biggest increases among young blacks and Hispanic men. It's 1:32.
Hey, y'all, it's Belinda Skelton for Four Seasons Home Care. As many of you know, I lost both my parents recently, but I'm so thankful they were able to finish their lives at home where they wanted to be. And Four Seasons Home Care was so helpful to my family throughout the process. I get emails from listeners all the time and why I trusted Four Seasons Home Care. They tell me I don't want just anyone to care for my parents. Well, of course you don't. So here's why I work with Four Seasons Home Care. This is a real family-owned company. They vet and hire every single one of their caregiving specialists, and they don't farm out the care to contractors, and they're not some national corporation. So here's my advice, folks. Call Four Seasons Home Care and just start the conversation. Do your homework. This is a huge decision. It's a 100% free call that can change everything. Google Four Seasons Home Care Atlanta. That's Four Seasons Home Care Atlanta.
Cheap exterior paint sounds like a deal, right? Until it chips or flakes and you find yourself repainting your house in a few years.
So that cheap paint isn't so cheap after all. More paint, more labor, more of your hard-earned money.
Or you could save thousands of dollars over time with Rhino Shield and never paint again.
Rhino Shield won't chip, flake, or peel and stands up to anything Mother Nature can throw at it. Rhino Shield can even make your house more energy efficient.
Rhino Shield, stop painting, start protecting. Visit rhinoshieldga.com.
There's no need to be scared of stains in your carpet when you can call Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. It's Patrick, owner of Zerorez. Zerorez cleans without the use of harsh soaps or spooky chemicals, leaving behind clean carpets safe for the entire family. For a limited time, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $129 when you mention WSB. That's right, 3 rooms of carpet clean for $129. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZerorezAtlanta.com. Zerorez, it's the right way to clean.
The Scott Antique Markets is back at the Atlanta Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. We're on both sides of I-285 exit 55 on Jonesboro Road. Visit ScottAntiqueMarket.com for more information.
If you've ever organized your closet only to have it look like a bomb went off in there 1 month later, then it's time to call Artisan Custom Closets. Dave Baker here with a custom spacious closet from Artisan. You'll never have to deal with all that clutter again. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
All right, live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams.
Big jam south side perimeter. That construction that's rolling 285 eastbound approaching Jonesboro Road in 1 to 2 left lanes. That's cooked the ride back toward Riverdale Road. Might want to think about Forest Parkway just south of 285 as an alternate. And we have construction left lane both ways in DeKalb, 285 north and southbound at Glenwood Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy skies today, high 85. Lows tonight in the low 60s. Cooler air on the way for tomorrow.
We'll have more news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Let me go to the phones to Pamela, who's been waiting patiently. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Eric. Good afternoon. Wanted to run something by you. Appreciate the information you just gave on how Marjorie Taylor Greene is using Trump's lame duck situation to her advantage. And it's interesting because, what, a year ago, she was his golden girl, and they were best friends. Every picture he was in, she was in, at his golf course charities, et cetera, But now she's taken it complete, what I'd say not 360, maybe 180, because she's still kissing up to him in some ways. As I was reading in several articles, but it's funny how she's now voicing her disgust in the Epstein files, although it wasn't really voiced in putting Trump in the hot seat, although many of them are, as far as Massey and all the others, trying to wait on that one more person to come into Congress, I believe, to actually get those 217 votes to get these Epstein files passed. But I was running this by your producer. I just read, it was about maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, Marjorie Taylor is disgusted because she said nothing gets done in this Republican Party, even, of course, in her party, the Republican Party. She said they're a bunch of good old boys, and this Good Old Boy Network, I assume it's even in her hometown because she was mentioning even in Georgia. She said nothing ever gets done, and she said, I'm tired of it. So she was basically going to separate herself from the Republican Party. Do you think that's why she's now using this information and turning it around so she can get back in the ball game and long term?
I do wonder if she wants to try to strut her stuff and declare herself as an independent and not really be tied to the Republican Party. She's mentioned the Good Old Boy Network before, and so I might as well.
She's right about that.
Well, yeah, but
She's
also, Marjorie takes some things personally she shouldn't. So, for example, was talking to one of her colleagues within the Georgia delegation who was saying that they decided that they would all decide one way or the other whether they were going to run for the Senate seat. And they have a group chat. And that they were going to get together and they were going to say, no harm, no foul. If multiple ones wanted, let's just all acknowledge we want to run or not. And so Buddy Carter said he was going to run. Mike Collins said he was going to run. And about that time, the president put the pressure on Marjorie not to run. And she apparently blew up and said it was all sexism and they were keeping her out because she was a girl and on and on and on. And the member of the delegation I spoke to said, no, it's because she can't win and we want to beat Ossoff. She's too radioactive and she can't acknowledge that she's made herself too radioactive. So instead what she does is says, well, it's the good old boys shutting me up. It's the good old boys marginalizing me. And it's not true at all. And I'm sorry. I have very little respect for people who their first pivot is to it's racism if they're non-white and something doesn't go their way. And I have very little respect for women whose first pivot is, well, it's because they're sexist or misogynist. Sometimes it's actually you. And when it's such a cudgel for you to use to say something's racist or something's sexist or misogynistic, or it's the Good Old Boys Club, that's actually on you. When your first defensive reaction to when something doesn't go your way is, it's not me, it's them, I think you got problems. And that, unfortunately, is Marjorie's situation, where Marjorie too often decides that it's not her. There are no consequences for everything she's done. She's never had to deal with the consequences of her own mistakes. She can blame sexism and the Good Old Boy Network or people betraying MAGA. It's always with her someone else's fault. Now, you should know something about me when I say this. In all candor and self-reflection, I typically blame myself for everything. If something doesn't go right, it's probably my fault. And I probably oftentimes blame myself when I should probably look to blame other people. But I think it's when you're always blaming other people and it's never, ever your fault for stuff, you got a real problem. And Marjorie, I think in that regard, has that problem in that she's never, ever wanted to acknowledge her mistake. It's always sexism. It's always misogyny. It's always the good old boys. It's always somebody else. It's never her. And the reality is the president and the governor of Georgia do not exactly get along. And one of the very few things they could agree on is Marjorie Taylor Greene getting into the Senate race would possibly help Jon Ossoff get reelected. Marjorie has very high name recognition against Republicans. In fact, if Marjorie were to get into the race, she would immediately be the front runner because of her high name ID. But when you actually poll the voters of Georgia, she's the one candidate in Georgia who, in the general election right now, today, Jon Ossoff is over 50% support. Jon Ossoff, the incumbent senator from Georgia, when you poll him against any of the Republicans in the races, including Derek Dooley, who no one really knows, he can't hit 50%. You poll him against Marjorie Taylor Greene, he gets well over 50% of the vote. That's how alienating she is to people. But in her mind, they kept her out of the race because it's sexism, it's misogyny, it's the Good Old Boy Network. No, it's because she's too radioactive of a candidate, and she's done it to herself. And perhaps her break with Trump is to try to rehabilitate her image to other voters, but she's not rehabilitating her image. She's becoming the Cynthia McKinney of Georgia. Now, I got to pivot to something else. And y'all are going to get mad at me on this one because it is my job to tell you reality. And we have gone through 4 years of Democrats refusing to acknowledge reality, and now suddenly we're my side doesn't want to acknowledge reality, and I'm the bad guy for piercing your bubble and telling you what reality is. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is closed. We're not going to have jobs data on Friday from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And the individual that Donald Trump decided to appoint to chair the Bureau of Labor Statistics has been withdrawn from Senate confirmation because he couldn't get the votes of Republican senators. So it is an institution with a bureaucratic leadership right now with no political accountability, and it can't do anything because it's closed down. So what's happening is private companies are coming out with their own data. And the data is not, for all of the faults of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's considered pretty good data, even though it is constantly revised because of the way it's collected. It's a survey. The surveys are slow to come in, and they constantly adjust it over a series of months and then over a year period. ADP surveys its customers. If you use ADP, ADP uses your data to build a survey, and most companies use ADP for payroll. And ADP is saying that based on its data of the payroll that it processes every week, U.S. employers shed jobs last month. Bank of America is saying there are signs of rising unemployment and slowing job growth. The Carlyle Group, looking at companies in which it owns a stake, says overall growth has slid. Goldman Sachs says its measure of labor market tightness fell last month back to levels seen in 2015, indicating a tough landscape for those looking for jobs. Few companies are hiring. Manufacturing costs are up. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I have to a degree. For those of you who are new here, you need to understand one of the effects of tariffs. You say, Erickson, you said prices are going to go up. Prices actually are going up, but they're not going up as much as they could, because what the businesses have decided is that if the prices went up to absorb the full cost of the tariff, you couldn't buy what they're selling. It'd be too expensive for you. So what the businesses are doing is they're absorbing the cost of the tariffs. Ford Motor Company buys a massive amount of aluminum from a plant in New York. It's the number one customer. It makes sheet aluminum that can be pressed into pieces for Ford F-150s. The plant caught on fire, can't produce. Ford is now having to buy a lot of its sheet aluminum from foreign manufacturers, and so there's a 50% tariff. You can't buy a Ford F-150 if they jack up the price, so Ford is just not paying wages, not hiring, not paying increased wages, not hiring, and is not investing in its company, in upgrades. So Ford, if it was going to upgrade a facility, it was going to be buying from other manufacturers for those upgrades, and now Ford can't buy from those manufacturers. Those manufacturers are out of business. And guess what? We're now seeing 4 consecutive months of decline in the manufacturing industry in America. Ironically, the tariffs were designed to stimulate manufacturing in the United States, and the third-party surveys of manufacturing in America are at 4 month-over-month decline in manufacturing. That's a warning sign there's something not right in the economy. Now, Republicans, if they play this right, they'll be able to blame the Democrats for the government shutdown. If we somehow slip into a recession, Republicans can blame the Democrats. Say the Democrats are the ones who kept the government shut down. But that'll actually be spin, and maybe people will buy it. The reality is there's something going on with the economy, and there are some people. I got a buddy of mine. He's a financial advisor, and he is totally bought into the idea of economic cycles. And you have these cycles where the economy fires up and then slows down, and you get a recession, and then it fires up again. And I think he said to me it's like 18-year cycles or something, and we are in the point of time where we should be having an economic slowdown. The party in the White House typically gets blamed when the economy slows down. That's bad for the GOP, unless they can hurry up and redistrict enough to make some really solid Republican seats in states. You know, Utah just got ordered to redistrict, and the Republicans are going to lose some of their safe seats. They'll still be mostly Republican seats, but that's going to hurt. California, of course, is trying to get its redistricting approved by voters. Texas has redistricted. But the GOP needs to go to the mat as rapidly as possible with Missouri and Indiana and Ohio and others and redistrict as best they can, because it is the economy, stupid, at the end of the day. At the end of the day, voters may have voted for Donald Trump, they say, on cultural issues, but a lot of those cultural issues translated it from high grocery prices and inflation, and they were furious with the Democrats. It's the economy, stupid. It turns out, despite all the talk about people wanting to reinvigorate American manufacturing and repatriate jobs, the average American just wants cheap stuff. And if you repatriate all the manufacturing to this country, you can't get cheap stuff because the cost of living in this country is higher, the cost of manufacturing in this country is higher, and Americans want cheap stuff. That doesn't mean you have to make it in China. So one of the I think, strategic problems with the tariffs is that with tariffs on every country as opposed to just focused on China, it disincentivizes companies setting up new assembly lines in other countries. We should be friend-shoring, ally-shoring our manufacturing, making our companies get out of China. I'm going to spend some time in the next hour on China because there are some warning signs China is destabilizing rapidly. We could completely destabilize the Chinese economy if we encouraged our manufacturers to leave China and go elsewhere for manufacturing. But with tariffs everywhere, there's not as much of an incentive. And the American public is feeling prices at the grocery store. The saving grace right now is at the pump. Americans are not paying as much for gas. But beer prices are up because of the aluminum tariff. True story. Car prices are starting to go up. And when they don't raise prices, they're not reinvesting in companies. They're not paying higher wages. They're not hiring more people. And we're seeing the hiring slowdown that economists said we would get through the tariff policy. Because if a company can't raise the price of the good they sell to you, they have to take the money from elsewhere. And they're taking the money by simply not filling positions. All of this was predicted. What's so funny is that the people who are defending the tariffs really don't have a good answer for it when everything that we who said the tariffs would cause problems, all of those things are now happening. And they're like, no, it's not really happening. Let's just deny that it's happening, except we can see it's happening. Whoever sold the president the idea on tariffs, it's bad. Here's the saving thing for the president, though. The Supreme Court makes them unconstitutional. In January, they hear the case. Let's say the Supreme Court says the tariffs are unconstitutional. The markets are going to skyrocket. The tariffs will go away, and it'll help us with the economy. But the irony here is for the Democrats. The data suggests the tariffs are beginning to have a negative impact on the economy. The negative impact that all the economists said would happen in slow hirings, in no wage increases, limited reinvestment in companies. But the Democrats have shut down the government. If the president and the Republicans play it right, they can blame the Democrats. Politically, they can just blame the Democrats for the fallout of the shutdown, because we know economically the same economists who warned about the tariffs are the same ones who say that an economic shutdown reduces American GDP because it slows down businesses that have to deal with the government. So the president of the GOP just blamed the Democratic shutdown for a slowdown in the economy.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
151 Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center, bumper to bumper, south side perimeter, 285 eastbound, the outer loop leaving the airport, trying to pass this rolling construction in 1 to 2 left lanes before Jonesboro Road, exit number 55. Better news if you're traveling into Stockbridge, crash on 75 southbound before Hudson Bridge Road, move from the left lane to the right shoulder, everything back open down there. Traffic brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Learn more about their support of common threads in nutrition education at anthem.com/dream. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Shutdown.
The government shutdown is underway.
What does it mean for the U.S.?
As many as 750,000 federal workers could be furloughed.
What does it mean for Georgia?
President of the union, which represents all of the agency's Georgia staff, and tells me his fellow TSA workers will feel the impact.
What comes next?
Social Security and veteran services could be delayed.
For the very latest on the impact of the government shutdown, listen often throughout the day. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
If your floors feel bouncy and uneven, it's time for AquaGuard Foundation Solutions Crawl Space Experts. Simply go to aquaguard.net and set up an appointment. It's fast and it's easy, and your floors will appreciate you. AquaGuard, the trusted local experts. Remember,
AquaGuard. Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. to restore your love life in just one visit. Call now, 404-885-8885.
The Scott Antique Markets is back at the Atlanta Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. We're on both sides of I-285 exit 55 on Jonesboro Road. Visit ScottAntiqueMarket.com for more information.
October is here, and this is a perfect month for home comfort. Dave Baker for Coolray Heating and Cooling. See, in October, it'll still get plenty warm during the day, but it will get cool at night. So with the purchase of a complete carrier system, Coolray's offering up to $2,250 back in rebates and free installation. That's heat, cool, and free installation. Get a jump start on keeping your home comfortable. Book your appointment online today at Coolray.com. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's disturbing, right? You're in bed and you're hearing noises in the attic, but you don't see anything up there. Then you hear it again and again. What the heck is going on? Well, that happened to me. Hey, it's meteorologist Christina Edwards here. You've got flying squirrels in your attic. Better call Breda. It's breeding season for these smart, devious, and intrusive pests. They invade your home with a tiny, hard-to-find hole, and they hide their nest and their waste. Plus, they're nocturnal, only making their noise at night. Breda Pest Management will send a highly trained expert to secure all entry points, remove the critters, dispose of their nesting, and disinfect and deodorize. It'll be like they were never there. Under the Breda Wildlife Guarantee, you'll stay protected. If any critters return, you're covered at no additional cost. Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters. BREDA Pest.com.
Breda, Breda. No need to be afraid of bugs.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Howdy, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, y'all, I am genuinely fascinated by this. John Ellis has this daily email I get as part of show prep, and he finds some of the most interesting stories out there. This is a story about Doug Whitney, a scientific unicorn with potential to provide answers about one of the world's most devastating diseases. He has a rare mutation that guaranteed he would develop Alzheimer's disease in his late 40s or early 50s and would die within a decade. His mother and 9 of her 13 siblings developed Alzheimer's and died in the prime of their lives. So did his oldest brother and other relatives going back generations. It's the largest family in the United States known to have an Alzheimer's causing mutation. Nobody in history has ever dodged the bullet, except for Doug Whitney. Something has shielded him from his genetic destiny, allowing him to escape Alzheimer's for at least 25 years longer than anyone expected. Scientists have no idea. So he has devoted himself to being a guinea pig for science. He has regularly been tested for 14 years. He's now 76 and still Alzheimer's free, and is letting scientists and doctors do every imaginable possible test to try to help find a cure for Alzheimer's. God bless that man. What a story that he's willing to do this. Now, let me tell you about Old Glory Bank. They were started by conservatives out in Oklahoma City, because they recognized the debanking trends around the country. They understood that as banks grow, shareholders buy shares in the banks, and progressive shareholders use their clout to get banks to stop dealing with conservatives. In particular, it was a way to target gun manufacturers, gun stores, gun dealers, things like that. So Old Glory Bank started, and they started to defy the debanking trends. They started as a conservative bank. They're still run by conservatives, but they're a bank for anyone, and you don't have to worry about debanking with Old Glory Bank. You don't have to worry about their politics making you ashamed to do business with them. If you go to oldglorybank.com/Eric today, you can sign up with Old Glory Bank. They'd love to have you as a customer at oldglorybank.com/Eric. oldglorybank.com/ERICK. oldglorybank.com/Eric.
In Atlanta, there is always something happening.
Tanker truck crashed into the median.
The Triple Team Traffic Center has you covered.
No traffic getting through in either direction.
Helping you on your commute.
Avoid the area at all costs. Take Highway 155 or Highway 4223.
Brought to you by the Cool Ray Lifetime Parts and Labor Warranty.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
We've all got one, and there's never just one thing on it. Your home improvement to-do list. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus. The Plus covers everything on your list. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and of course, painting.
Hi, I'm Charlie, the owner of Painting Plus. We do it all, and we do it right. Trust the Plus family of businesses for everything on your list.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
Cancer upends your life. We're doing all we can to change that. At Winship Cancer Institute of Emory University, we're reimagining the care experience to ease the burden of cancer. With experts in your cancer and the research, trials, and treatments you can only get here. All so you can focus on what matters most, the best chance of living a full life. Winship Cancer Institute of Emory University. Cancer care designed around you and your life. EmoryHealthcare.org/Winship.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. It is all new this hour. There are reports out of New Orleans. The last of the 10 inmates who escaped from a jail in Louisiana in May is now cornered here in Atlanta. While most of the escapees were captured within weeks, 31-year-old Derek Groves has remained at large for nearly 5 months. He was serving life for a murder conviction. The district attorney in New Orleans described Groves as a cold-blooded killer with a history of violent crime. It is 80 degrees in Atlanta. Wind is cooler, drier air move in. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. A home in Lawrenceville is a crime scene after 2 people are shot and killed. When Gwinnett police arrive, they find a man and woman dead in a bedroom.
When they were continuing to clear the home, they noticed that the 2 were deceased from what they believed to be a gunshot wound. They also noticed a firearm was at the scene.
Corporal Ryan Winderweedle with Gwinnett Police says they are not looking for any suspects, and they believe this is an isolated domestic incident. The victims have not yet been identified. With no progress to end the government shutdown, furloughed federal workers are concerned about whether they're going to get paid for the work they've missed.
The White House has indicated that a 2019 law that's supposed to guarantee back pay for federal workers following a shutdown may not apply to everyone.
We see it as a two-pronged attack.
Yolanda Jacobs, who is among the thousands of furloughed federal workers in Georgia, says the threat of no back pay will only increase the pain on these employees.
You place people in a really difficult position.
She says many of them could be forced into tough financial decisions the longer the shutdown continues and the longer they go without a paycheck. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
A 29-year-old man is behind bars in connection with the deadly Palisades fire in Southern California in January.
We are announcing the arrest of 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht for igniting a fire that ultimately burned down the Palisades.
Acting U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley says the suspect returned to the same trail to watch the fire burn, although he lied about his location to investigators. The fire killed 12 people and destroyed more than 6,000 homes and buildings. Former FBI Director James Comey pleads not guilty to charges of obstruction of justice and making false statements. The case is connected to Comey's testimony before Congress in 2020. He's accused of lying to the Senate Judiciary Committee about leaking information from the FBI's Trump-Russia investigation that began in 2016. A trial date is set for Comey for January 5th. It is now 2:02, and this news is sponsored by Brett Beckers. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier, the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging's LDCT body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
At Coosa Valley Credit Union, we believe in the power of human connection. When you call us or stop in a location, you're always greeted by a real person who's friendly and ready to make your banking experience stress-free. This is Andy Harris. If you're tired of automated tellers, come see us at Coosa Valley Credit Union.
Are you tired of painting your home every 3 to 5 years? Get peace of mind for 25 years with Rhino Shield.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Get a free estimate at rhinoshieldga.com.
Y'all, it's Eric. Windows 10 is sunsetting. End of support on October 14th of this year. It's also my anniversary. No end of support for my marriage, just end of support for your computer if you're on Windows 10. You got to update. Now, what does that mean, end of support? It means Microsoft is going to stop issuing security patches for your computer if you're on Windows 10. So you actually do need to update for your own good and safety, and Vision Computers can help you transfer to Windows 11. How do you do it? You call them at 404-COMPUTE and say, Eric sent you, I need some help. They can get you upgraded to Windows 11. It is for your own good and safety and that of your company that you move to Windows 11 because of the security updates, if nothing else. So call Vision Computer at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. Tell them Eric sent you. You might be able to save some money. You got to get it done before October 14th because you're not going to get security patches from Microsoft after that for Windows 10. Let Vision Computer take care of you. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com.
It is 2:05, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. In the 24-hour traffic center, it's Alex Williams.
Hey, good afternoon, Bill. Some better news on the west side interloop. All lanes just blocked and reopened. 285 northbound, the interloop, Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, exit 9. Crash moved off to the right there. The delays leaving Cascade Road will start to improve. South side perimeter is not pretty. I feel the pain for you. 285 eastbound, the outer loop very slow from Riverdale Road over to this rolling construction continuing in 1 to 2 left lanes approaching Jonesboro Road. Forest Parkway could save you a little bit of time just south of the interstate there. Alex Williams, 95.5 WUSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy skies today, high 85, lows tonight in the low 60s. Cooler, drier air moving in for tomorrow, breezy as well, high 71. Friday, mostly sunny, morning low 53, afternoon high 72.
80 in Marietta, 83 in Duluth, 83 in Hampton. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is Queen. Queen. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBradio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is Queen. Join me live at 3 for the Von Hessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5 p.m.
Hello, America. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would absolutely be delighted to have you with me. We need to talk about China. I was actually trading notes with Brian Kilmeade a little while ago. He emailed me about something I had tweeted and wanted to see if I had any links for it. And so I sent him what I had. And there's a piece at my old website, redstate.com, by Eric Dernica. And the headline is Weaponizing Tragedy. Beijing is exploiting Charlie Kirk's assassination online. In fact, Spencer Cox noted that foreign entities were spreading misinformation and disinformation, and a lot of that appears tied into the Chinese propaganda network. Zhao Deshui is a member of the People's Armed Police Propaganda Bureau and began tweeting about how there was no surveillance footage. Surely there's no way this could happen. There's something that must be done, and tweeting about the incompetence of an Indian-run FBI, and sowing lots of discord about Charlie Kirk's assassination, suggesting perhaps the Jews were behind it. Notice every time Candace Owens Tucker Carlson, whoever suggests the Jews were behind it, they're not actually focused on the sexually deviant shooter Tyler Robinson. Notice also they're not talking about radical Islam. Notice also they're not talking about China. What's really noticeable is the Chinese are stirring a lot of these socially discontented pots around the world, trying to get other governments to turn inward and look inward. I need you to bear with me here real quick. There's something going on in China. There's something destabilizing happening in China, and that actually makes them more dangerous. And you should know that I'm in the camp that believes China is not a country in the ascent. It's a country in the descent. It's a country that is collapsing. Its birth rate is down. People are fleeing. People are unhappy. The entrepreneurial class has been chased away. Xi Jinping decided he wanted to reintroduce a Maoist communism and get away from the free market reforms of the 1980s and 90s. And that society is beginning to destabilize. Xi Jinping just arrested, disappeared a bunch of senior members of the military that he himself had handpicked to take over and clean up the military. They hadn't done what he wanted them to do, and now they're gone. They're disappeared. Nobody knows where they are. He has arrested a number of millionaires and billionaires in China who were able to acquire wealth. He has pushed out of the Politburo others, and there's this rumor in China that there's a lot of discontent within the Politburo about Xi Jinping's leadership, that they are beginning to regret having expanded his term beyond what any other Chinese leader had had since Mao. Now there's this story in the New York Times. China's censors are moving to stamp out more than just political dissent online. They're targeting the public mood itself. The Chinese censors are punishing bloggers and influencers whose weary posts are resonating widely in a country where optimism is fraying. The authorities have punished 2 bloggers who advocated for a life of less work and less pressure. An influencer who said that it made financial sense not to marry and have children. And a commentator known for bluntly observing that China still lags behind Western countries in terms of quality of life. These supposed cynics and skeptics, 2 of whom had tens of millions of followers, have had their accounts suspended or banned in recent weeks as China's internet regulator conducts a new cleanup of Chinese social media. The 2-month campaign, launched by the Cyberspace Administration of China in late September, is aimed at purging content that incites excessively pessimistic sentiment and panic or promotes defeatist ideas such as hard work is useless, according to a notice from the agency. In reality, we all experience fatigue and anxiety as a result of work and life, but these real emotions deserve respect and should not be deliberately amplified for traffic. The internet is not a dumping ground for negativity, China's state broadcaster CCTV said in an editorial above the campaign. By the way, is it not just me? Do you love that China's official propaganda news network is the CCTV, the closed circuit television, as they're monitoring you? That's not actually what it stands for there. But yes, it is the closed circuit television. They're monitoring the Chinese people and propagandizing to them. Around the world, officials debate how to keep social media from stoking outrage and polarizing that could spill over into real-world violence or harm. The internet regulator in China has framed its campaign in similar terms, but China's crackdown carries a distinctly political undercurrent. It demonstrates that concern among its leadership about the spread of malaise as the country grapples with economic uncertainty, a volatile rivalry with the United States, and growing disenchantment among young people. In recent years, some young people have opted out of the rat race in favor of a minimal life of lying flat, or giving up on goals altogether and letting it rot. The account of 2 bloggers known for promoting a minimalist lying flat lifestyle were blocked from adding new followers last month. What is lying flat? Literally, laying down. 5 years ago, Liu Honghong discovered that he enjoyed doing nothing. He quit his job as a factory worker in China, biked 1,300 miles from Sichuan province to Tibet, and decided he could get by on odd jobs and $60 a month from his savings. He called his new lifestyle lying flat. I've been chilling, Mr. Lau says, age 31. I don't feel like there's anything wrong. He titled his post, Lying Flat is Justice, attached a photo of himself lying on his bed in a dark room with the curtains drawn. Before long, the post was being celebrated by Chinese millennials as an anti-consumerist manifesto. Lying Flat went viral and has become a broader statement about Chinese society. A generation ago, the route to success in China was to work hard, get married, and have children. The country's authoritarianism was seen as a fair trade-off as millions were lifted out of poverty. But with employees working longer hours and housing prices rising faster than incomes, many young Chinese fear they will be the first generation not to do better than their parents. Sound familiar? Sounds pretty American, I got to tell you. The problem, however, is that it has incentivized young people in China to begin expressing their discontent. So now let's pile all these things on. You have a Chinese government that's begun to crack down on the military, disappearing top generals who were handpicked by the leadership. You have rumors of Politburo discontent. You have social media influencers having their accounts disabled for complaining about society. President Xi is doing everything he can to stamp out any view that doesn't glorify his rule of China. That's not what a strong leader does. In this country, you have the Chinese propaganda being pushed about Charlie Kirk to stir sentiment. You have the Chinese police stations that have cropped up in this country where they're going about detaining and harassing Chinese citizens in this country and immigrants from China in this country. You have the bioweapons lab they discovered in Los Angeles. You have the agricultural pathogens they tried to sneak into Detroit. You now have the cell network terror program they disrupted in New York City that we now know was funded by the Chinese government. Countries on decline are dangerous. They're dangerous because those countries try to distract from their problems by stoking nationalist sentiment. And the nationalist sentiment being stoked in China is they got to invade Taiwan. They've got to piece together all of China. Xi Jinping's argument is that if all of China can be put back together and the last piece is Taiwan, there will be harmony. And he's trying to tell the young people in China that if you'll just let me put the whole country back together, you'll have peace and prosperity, which isn't true. The problem for Xi Jinping is that a lot of the people of China, of the upper middle class, have the means to travel, and they've been traveling to places like Europe and the United States and realizing how much freer other people are, and they go back to China and tell the Chinese, which just stokes the depression, and they go online and they say how depressed they are. They don't want to work. It's too hard to work. It's too expensive to work. It's too expensive to have a house. It's too expensive to live in China. You got the young people saying, I can live on $60 a month in savings and the charity of others and odd jobs, so why not do that, which breaks down the Chinese economy. Xi has to do something. He's made an alliance with Iran and Russia and North Korea. Not exactly bastions of freedom, but not exactly bastions of wealth either. He's made his bed. Lying in his bed. And the United States, as a result, needs to be prepared for them to invade Taiwan. But not just to invade Taiwan. The Chinese leadership fundamentally believes, that they can shut us down in the process, and that will be a big moral victory for the Chinese. What the Chinese believe is that they can target the United States of America. They can take out our power grid. They can take out our internet. They can take out our water supply. They can cripple us so we can't respond to Taiwan, and that'll be a big propaganda win for the Chinese leadership. It's remarkable. It's truly remarkable. But they put in place the pieces to be able to do it. Don't underestimate a nation in decline. We shouldn't. The telltale sign that there are problems within China is the disappearance of the Chinese military leadership that Xi himself picked. And now arresting people and disabling people who refuse to be quiet about their discontent. But this also means something else. There are a lot of voices in the United States, in the editorial press and online, who believe the Chinese just get stuff done, y'all. Look at this bridge China just built. It's the widest bridge over a canyon ever built, and they built it in 4 years. It's incredible. They have a restaurant at the top. Look at the high-speed rail they built, except in China, inevitably, these things that they build, they then run into problems. They collapse. Remember, they built a high-speed rail line to Tibet, and they did it in record time, and it was praised in the New York Times, and within a year it had fallen over on its side. It's a Potemkin village, a dangerous one. But I want you to, here's your homework assignment. I've never given a homework assignment in my life. I'm going to give you a homework assignment. Pay attention over the next several weeks to the number of major news articles in this country about the building successes in China and the successes in China, because the Chinese Communist Party is trying to plant stories in the American press about how awesome and great they are, and they would not be doing that and turning off the accounts of millennials complaining about the state of Chinese living if things were as good as it actually was. Y'all just keep your eye out. You're going to see it.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
220 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Watching the volume start to fill in through downtown. Looks like we might have new trouble I-85 southbound as you head into Midtown before 17th Street. We're going to check on that. You're slow from Georgia 400. Speaking of 400, crash just pushed off to the right up in Roswell. 400 northbound at Mansell Road, exit 8. Traffic brought to you by Aleve. Traffic and body pain can slow you down, but don't let the pain stop you with just one pill. Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief so you can keep moving. Use as directed. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is Queen. Queen. Go to the WSB radio app or WSBradio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is Queen. Join me live at 3 for the Von Hessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5 p.m.
You've probably heard that constipation and IBS can all be related to a lack of fiber in your diet. Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you or someone you know suffers from constipation or IBS, let the Bread Beckers show you the way to more fiber and regularity and to better health without swallowing a pill or a bad-tasting drink. At the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber from real whole grains. A healthy, affordable, and delicious solution for your family that can change your life. This is not like the enriched bread you buy at the grocery store. It's real bread. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Those wire shelves in your closet are just a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Dave Baker for Artisan Custom Closets. At Artisan, we see it all the time. The wire shelves come crashing down. Clothes, shoes, bags are everywhere. It's a disaster zone. Save yourself before this happens to you. With a custom, spacious closet from Artisan, you'll never have to look at that clutter again. Your shoes, bags, clothes, accessories, all neatly organized and designed to stay that way. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, with all the things we're reading, seeing, and living through these days, from rate cuts, election season, and now a new administration, now seems like a great time to make sure we have that comprehensive plan in place. You know, the one that covers all our financial bases.
There are occasions throughout the year where I feel like it's critical for people to engage their financial lives and get the information that they deserve from a financial advisory team. And this is one of those times, to be quite frank. So we ask that you call us if you have a minimum of $500,000 in your full portfolio. But we're going to do away with that minimum so that those folks can have an equal opportunity to understand what's in their portfolio as well. Now, you have to have some money, right? I can't help you to build your wealth at work, right? But I sure can help, I believe, with your 401k, IRA management. There's probably 2 or 3 things that'll surprise you that you may want to take action on. So the next 10 people that call in, we'll work up either a portfolio x-ray, or if you feel like you need a full retirement plan, go to unleashyourmoney.com, click on portfolio x-ray, or click on full retirement plan. We think you'll be impressed enough, and we want you to become a client. There's no question about it. We believe that we are a very competent fiduciary advisory team, and we want to offer that to our listeners. Let Hoffman Financial Group actually show you how we perform, and I believe we perform at the pinnacle of this industry.
Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
This is Mike Geller at D. Geller & Son Jewelers.
And this is Jonathan Geller. Dad, we're celebrating 86 years in Atlanta this month, and people are always asking how you've kept our prices so low.
Well, I haven't bought a new suit since 1982.
I don't think that's it.
We go straight to the source. Diamonds, jewelry, gemstones. There's no better value than D. Geller & Son.
In Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Affordable jewelry for everyone is at D. Geller & Son.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Well, this just happened. There is a big confrontation outside the Speaker's Speaker's office on Capitol Hill. Ruben Galeo and Mark Kelly, the 2 senators from Arizona, showed up to do a press conference outside Mike Johnson's office, demanding they sign in the Congresswoman-elect Gravalia from Arizona, who has not been sworn in. They're claiming it's to block the release of the Epstein documents. Mike Lawler then showed up, the congressman from New York, and told the senators, reopen the government and they'll get sworn in. Galeo started yelling, stop covering up for pedophiles. Lawler responded, nobody's covering up for pedophiles, knock it the hell off and open up the government. Johnson accused them of doing a publicity stunt, and they need to go vote and reopen the government so they can get their member from Arizona sworn in. So there were 2 Republican members who were sworn in. They were sworn in a special election. The government was open, and their families were in town, so they got sworn in. The Arizona Congresswoman-elect was not elected before the government shut down and didn't set up a time before the government shut down. Since the government is now closed down, she can't set up a time. The other 2 had done it before the government shut down, so Johnson swore them in. And the Democrats were like, it's a conspiracy to block the Epstein release. The Democrats are now like hanging everything on the Epstein release. It's kind of dumb because Republicans did it when the Democrats were, it's Joe Biden's on Bill Clinton. They're all on the Epstein. Now the Democrats are doing it as payback to the GOP. It's such a stupid talking point to begin with. The Epstein files, though, are going to be released. They got the votes to do it in the House of Representatives as soon as the government reopens. At this point, it's the Democrats in the Senate who are trying to block the Epstein files from being released. It's the Democrats doing it. They're keeping the government shut down. Based on their own logic, they're keeping the government shut down because they don't want to release the Epstein files. That's what's going on here. based on their own logic. Now, my logic is this coming year, China's going to build 100 coal power plants and something like 20 nuclear power plants. In this country, 0. Because permitting in this country for power plants is so difficult to get. Americans for Prosperity wants to get you involved in a bipartisan push for permitting reform in this country to speed up the building of pipelines and power plants. You can go do this, and you can. The website is prosperityspossible.com. We've got to seize energy dominance in this country. Permitting reform is before the House of Representatives. It's for oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, in Anwar. It's for power plants. It's for pipelines. They're building through Appalachia and elsewhere to transport natural gas around the country to lower costs for you and me. All you have to do is go to prosperityspossible.com. Prosperityspossible.com is the website. Sign up with Americans for Prosperity. Get involved. They have chapters in every single state, and they would love to have you on board the chapters around the states. Just go to prosperityspossible.com, sign up and learn more from Americans for Prosperity at prosperityspossible.com. They'd love to have you get involved around the country in all 50 states.
When news breaks,
federal workers may not be entitled to back pay from their time off during the government shutdown.
we've got it covered.
Many TSA and air traffic control workers are on the job without pay or with limited pay.
Tune in often for the latest. Over 200 flights out of Hartsfield-Jackson International delayed or canceled. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. It is breaking news. U.S. Marshals say the last of 10 jailbreakers from New Orleans is now in custody in Atlanta. 31-year-old Derek Groves was located in Atlanta after 5 months on the run. Reports from New Orleans say Groves was involved in a standoff with police in southwest Atlanta. Most of the escapees were captured within weeks. Groves was serving life for a murder conviction. Update now on the government shutdown. The Senate once again fails to advance 2 measures aimed at bringing the shutdown to an end. This is the 6th time in a row both Republican and Democrat measures have been shot down. Federal employees in Metro Atlanta are reacting to news they may not receive back pay once the shutdown ends. Yolanda Jacobs, who's been a federal employee for 2 decades, says concerns about pay are serious.
That affects a person's mental health. That affects their physical health. That affects their families, their community.
Jacobs says federal workers will be in an even more dire situation financially if they don't receive back pay. A law passed during the first Trump administration is supposed to guarantee all federal workers receive back pay. An Atlanta-based company is near the top of the Forbes list of ranking the world's best employers.
Delta Airlines, actually, though, this year did a nice jump from number 6 last year to number 2 this year.
Forbes senior editor Rachel Rabkin-Peachman says they surveyed 300,000 employees at companies with at least 1,000 employees. Microsoft is number 1 on the list. It is 2:32, and this news is sponsored by FGA Roofing. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
Scott Slade here to talk to you about your health, and I think it's real important to talk about what is most likely to kill you. Heart disease is the number 1 killer of Americans, and the older we get, the more prevalent it is. But you can reduce your risk. Eat right, don't smoke, exercise, and be informed about what's going on in your own body. Like lots of potentially serious health problems, if you catch heart disease early, you vastly increase your chances of living a longer life. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging scans take less than 10 minutes and screen with 98% accuracy for heart disease. Other scans, including brain and full body, are available too. Virtual imaging is locally owned and operated in Atlanta for over 15 years, so they can make you this terrific offer. A complimentary heart scan for you and your spouse with a few minimum requirements. So don't put this off. I've done it. Call Virtual Imaging today for your free heart scan. 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-7226. Or visit their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
Comcast Business can help turn your small business into a connected, secure, modern business. It's how retailers become constantly connecting must-visit shops. How restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How healthcare offices become the data protecting caregivers that we all depend on. and how wealth management firms become cyber-securing guardians of your information. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, and Wi-Fi backup, your business can stay connected and get threat-ready with Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with our reliable business internet. Plus, stay connected when you add Wi-Fi backup for just $35 a month. And ask about a $400 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Call today. Restrictions apply. Wireless Connect requires business internet for additional monthly charge. Taxes and other fees extra. Prepaid card offer ends 11/16/25.
Fall is a busy time, and selling your home can be overwhelming. Get a guaranteed cash offer from Mark Spain Real Estate and sell your home stress-free and for the most money. Hi, it's Chris Chandler. With Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer, you can receive the strongest cash offer in the industry and move when you're ready. Mark Spain Real Estate has more than 13,000 five-star reviews, so you can trust the top real estate team in the U.S. to sell your home quickly and for maximum profit. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Hey, Bill, just found new trouble in Norcross. Stall in the second left lane. That's the lane next to the HOT lane, 85 northbound. Before Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit number 99. You're slow from 285. Southbound heading into the city, they cleared up a crash. 85 southbound before 17th Street. But that ride's going to keep getting slower throughout the afternoon as you head through Midtown and downtown. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy skies today, high 85, lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow, breezy as cooler air moves in, highs in the upper 60s to low 70s. Friday, mostly sunny, morning low 53, afternoon high 72.
81 in Loganville, 82 in Ackworth, 83 in Fairburn. More news at 3 o'clock, breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
All right, I just got to tell you guys, I got to. I sat here while I was in the last monologue and could just see a disturbance in the phones. Apparently, my call screener decided someone did not qualify, didn't have the sense to get on the show. And the person called back and 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 then got put on hold and would hang up, call back, get put on hold, hang up, call back. So apparently his point was that I have been paid by the Jews for my prior monologue on China. That basically was it, that it's all part of a Zionist plot to distract from the Jews' control to the Chinese. Y'all people have lost their minds. My goodness gracious, I how many people are the Chinese paying out there to pollute people's minds? This happened on CNN. Nancy Pelosi and Dana Bash.
There is a Democrat running for Attorney General who's embroiled in a scandal over text messages in which he, the Democrat, said that the GOP Speaker of the House of Delegates should get 2 bullets to the head for how he paid tribute to a former moderate Democratic lawmaker who died. He has apologized. Should he get out of the race?
Well, that's up to the people, the leaders in Virginia. They have said he has apologized. What I understand is they say that on balance he's the better person to be Attorney General. But that's up to them. But I wish there would be enough fuss of all the times that people have said they were going to put a bullet in my head right in public. In the public
I think
domain.
It's because of that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you that. You are somebody who knows all too well in a horrific way.
We have to get rid of that kind of language. I mean, it's just not appropriate.
If you were Abigail Spanberger, who's the Democrat running for governor, would you call on him to step aside?
But she has to do what she has to do. She's going to be governor. She's running very well. Everybody's very proud of her candidacy. And her race is her race, and her state is her state, and it's up to her. I really don't get involved in other people's races, that the mayor of New York, that this, of that. It's up to the people in that state.
So Nancy Pelosi, whose husband was beaten, and it turned into a joke among some on the right. The man who beat him was crazy, had no political axe to grind, was just nuts. And the people on the right were, I think, rightly criticized for joking about the assault on her husband. And Nancy Pelosi denounced violence then and rhetoric, but here she's willing to say, oh, we don't need that level of rhetoric here. But I'm not going to say you should get out of the race. She's willing to tell Republicans in states outside of California they should get out of the race, but she's not willing to tell a Democrat to get out of the race. It's all political. It's all political to the Democrats. Every sin they attribute to the Republicans, they are guilty of. All of the lectures on moral authority, they themselves are guilty of. I've now got the Tim Kaine audio. This is a man who said George Allen should have gotten out of his Senate race for saying macaca. This is Tim Kaine talking about Jay Jones.
Do you think Jay Jones should drop out of the race in Virginia?
Jay has apologized. The statements that he made were indefensible, but I've known Jay Jones for 25 years. I think those statements were not in character, and he has apologized. I wish other people in public life would sincerely apologize for stuff. So, no, I still am a supporter.
I'm still a supporter. That's not the Jay Jones I know. These were his private messages. His private messages that he was willing to amplify. It's kind of wild to me that the Democrats really are staking out this position that we're not going to try to push him out of racing. You know what this does? When you get the crazy Republican who does this sort of stuff, the Republicans now can totally say, we're not asking for him to get out of the race. Why should we? The Democrats didn't want Jay Jones to get out of the race, and the Democrats will say, well, this is more, but this is here and now. Well, no, I'm sorry. Not going to work. Nope. Not going to happen. Jay Jones is not going to get out of the race. The voters, it's going to be up to them. And I need to know, or I know, got a lot of listeners in Virginia. Are you guys going to support a man who thought not just that he wanted to put 2 bullets in the back of a politician's head, but also kill his children or hope that his wife would watch them die? Here's the part of the Jay Jones story that blows my mind and I don't think gets enough attention. What did Todd Gilbert, the former Speaker of the House in the Virginia House of Delegates, do to provoke Jay Jones, a Democrat at the time in the House of Delegates, to want Jay Jones to fantasize about putting 2 bullets in the back of Todd Gilbert's head? What vile thing did Todd Gilbert do to justify Jay Jones wanting 2 bullets in the back of his head and to have his kids die? Todd Gilbert said nice things about a dead Democrat at that Democrat's funeral. That's what he did. God's honest truth. That's what provoked Jay Jones to want to put 2 bullets in the back of Todd Gilbert's head and watch his children die. Is Todd Gilbert said nice things about a Democrat at that Democrat's funeral. That's a sociopath who would do that. That you would be provoked to want to murder someone because they said nice things at a funeral. There's something deeply demented about Jay Jones if he's willing to go there. Not only that, let's not forget the 116-mile-per-hour arrest in a 65. I had tweeted it was 45. Turns out it was 65-mile-an-hour zone. He was on the interstate. Did 116 miles per hour. Was arrested, sentenced to community service, and did 500 hours of community service fundraising for his own campaign. Fundraising for his own campaign. By the way, the prosecutor says he was not authorized. The prosecutor who prosecuted him at the time has now come forward and said he was not authorized. He was not authorized to do community service for himself, and yet he did it anyway. Now, here's the problem. There's nothing the judge can do. It's basically, I talked to a friend of mine who's a lawyer in Virginia. He says 21 days after the community service is filed for the judge to do anything, the time has lapsed for anybody to do anything about it. Nobody knew. He obfuscated, and it doesn't matter. Statute of limitations is gone. There's nothing they can do, but he did it. The voters can hold him accountable for it. The question is, how much are the voters of Virginia willing to recognize the conduct is unacceptable? How willing are the voters in Virginia to do this? Because I think I was saying last night, so I did an event, my buddy David Nicholas, my financial advisor, I did an event with him last night. It was essentially a Q&A for his clients to ask me questions, and somebody was asked about the race in Virginia. So the problem in Virginia is that Winsome Sears is on paper, a great candidate. She's the lieutenant governor. She's an immigrant from Jamaica, black female Marine, who's running as a Republican. Mom and wife, got into politics late in life, got elected to lieutenant governor of Virginia. And she's not running a good race. Southwest Virginia is Southwest Virginia. And I'm told she referred to it as the Southwest, which nobody in Southwest Virginia says. And I'm told that when she went to the Tidewater region of Virginia, which is the southeast region of Virginia, Chesapeake Bay, you got Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Norfolk. They say Norfolk there. They don't say Norfolk, and she referred to it as the Norfolk area as opposed to the Tidewater area. And those little regionalisms matter. I worked for a candidate in Georgia for a while. His name is Saxby Chambliss. He became the U.S. Senator. On his campaign in 1994, he had a lady from Chicago who was his fundraiser. Her name was Nancy. She was fantastic. She was a great fundraiser, but she wasn't from around here. And he was running down in South Georgia. And there's a town in South Georgia, a small city. It's spelled Cordele. Cordele. Someone was supposed to introduce him at this fundraiser. And the guy got sick. He couldn't come. It was very last minute. And so Nancy came on stage to introduce Saxby. And she thanked the people of Coeur d'Alene for coming. It's Cordele. It's Cordele. Down in South Georgia, they've got Unadilla. They have Vienna, but it's pronounced Vienna. They've got Houston County, but it's Houston County. They have Cairo, Georgia, but it's Cairo, Georgia. You got to know these things, these regionalisms. I the other day was talking about some people in New York City who were prominent politicians, and my agent who worked in New York City for years was texting me, you're pronouncing them wrong. Curtis Sliwa. I said Silhouette Sliwa and others. So you're pronouncing them wrong. You got to get those right. If you're running to be governor of Virginia, you got to know the southeast part of the state is the Tidewater area. The southwest part of Virginia is called Southwest Virginia, not the Southwest. That's Arizona. She hasn't run a great race. But at the end, Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat, who's run a very cautious race, has been unable to talk about things like transgenderism. There is a man in Northern Virginia. Y'all, I'm not making this one up. There is a man in Northern Virginia. He's in, I want to say, his late 50s. He claims he's transitioning. He's not transitioning. He just has long hair. And he's been going into women's and girls' bathrooms and locker rooms that are publicly accessible and watching them. He was found by police to have child porn on his phone, and the Northern Virginia police decided they're not going to do anything because he's transitioning. There's child porn on his phone from what one of the press reports said. He's in there watching women and girls. And the local governments refuse to prosecute him. The police are outraged by it, but saying he's not going to get prosecuted, so we're not going to arrest him. Prosecutor's not going to arrest him. We're just wasting our times. He's going to be let back out. Abigail Spanberger refuses to take a position on that issue. 3 boys were punished. One of them not so much because he's Muslim. The other 2 being white, they were punished. Even the Muslim parents recognized this discrimination because they were filmed by a girl in the boys' bathroom being upset about the girl being in the boys' bathroom, but the girl said she was transitioning, and the school system punished them, not the girl for videotaping them in the bathroom. Abigail Spanberger had nothing to say on that issue. Winsome Sears has mounted a comeback based on this issue. You combine that with Jay Jones. Jay Jones is an anchor on the ticket. But in Virginia, here's what the Democrats are counting on. In Virginia, this is what the Democrats are counting on. Abigail Spanberger has run a better campaign in large part because she hasn't been challenged by the media. She's answered no tough questions. She's ahead in the polling. Winsome Sears has not run a good campaign. And in Virginia, voters haven't split tickets since 2005. So their expectation is that people are going to go to the polls and they're going to vote Democrat straight ticket. So there's no reason to distance themselves from Jay Jones because he's going to be elected because of the strength of Spanberger's campaign. It depends on the voters of Virginia. Are they outraged enough that they're opposed to sending to office a man who wanted to put 2 bullets in the back of the head of a politician for saying nice things at another man's funeral? That's going to be an indictment on the character of the people of Virginia if they decide to choose Jay Jones over Jason Miyares, who's been a great attorney general who even the Democrats like. If they're that into raw partisanship that they can't say not this guy, even the voters of Alabama were willing to reject the judge down there in favor of Doug Jones based on the allegations against, Roy Moore. Even the voters of Alabama were willing to say, no, we'll take a Democrat for a couple years over this. If the Democrats, the voters of Virginia, aren't willing to reject Jay Jones, it's a damning indictment on them that the people of Alabama have a better character than the people of Virginia.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
249 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Travel advisory over on the west side perimeter. We got a car fire, 285 northbound, the inner loop just before Hollowell Parkway, exit 12. 2 right lanes are blocked. You're jammed back toward Cascade Road. Think about using 75, 85 north as an alternate. It is slow as well, but at least you'll be moving. Stalled vehicle, second left lane heading up into Norcross, 85 northbound before Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. Traffic brought to you by Aleve. Traffic and body pain can slow you down, but don't let the pain stop you with just one pill. Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief so you can keep moving. Use as directed. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
On air,
online,
on the app,
where you get your news,
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
Oh my God! The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every weekday.
I just won $1,000.
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app. The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
Your next chance to win is at 5 p.m.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier, the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging's LDCT body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
This is Wes Moss from Money Matters. You know, retirement is a lot like football. The best teams don't just show up on game day. They've got great coaches and a smart game plan. Without one, things go off the rails quickly. At Capital Investment Advisors, we would act as your retirement coach, building both the big picture strategy and the detailed plays that aim to help you score the retirement you want. Don't go into retirement with a bad playbook. Visit us at yourwealth.com. That's YOUR wealth.com.
If you've ever organized your closet only to have it look like a bomb went off in there 1 month later, then it's time to call Artisan Custom Closets. Reach-in closets, walk-in closets, pantry spaces, garages. With a custom spacious closet from Artisan, you'll never have to deal with all that clutter again. All your stuff neatly organized and designed to stay that way. Call the Closet Bomb Squad, Artisan Custom Closets. They'll diffuse your clutter and make it safe to enter your closet again. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
1 in 8 women will face breast cancer. But the Breast Cancer Research Foundation is changing that. With breakthroughs in prevention and treatment, we're not just saving lives, we're rewriting the future, giving those diagnosed more time to not just survive, but thrive. This is the moment. This is the mission. Support breast cancer research. Until 1 in 8 is none in 8.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is, well, irrelevant at this point because it's too late for you to call in. I have some news for you that is actually deeply encouraging, and it's just we've got to the point. There's a story I didn't get a chance to get to today about Hunter Biden scandals in Europe, but I want to play this audio for you because it's remarkable that suddenly it's safe, now that Joe Biden is out of the White House, it's safe for NBC News to do a story like this.
New numbers showing the dramatic change at the border.
We've got the most controlled border we've ever had in the history, and in my lifetime in the Border Patrol.
In Eagle Pass, Texas, during the Biden administration, more than 2,000 migrants crossed into the U.S. in a single day. But now, under President Trump's policies, officers encounter just 20 migrants a day here. Tonight, DHS touting the lowest number of illegal border crossings since 1970. And Border Patrol Chief Mike Banks tells us they'll expand the 1 mile of defensive buoys on the Rio Grande.
We've got about 500 miles identified across the entire Texas border where we're going to place these in the river.
Is this the new wall?
It's defense in depth.
We were here 2 years ago where migrants used to carry children on their backs to get across this river and cut through this barbed wire to get to the United States. They would see hundreds, even thousands a day in this very spot. But today, it's silent. North and Del Rio, border residents telling us they're thrilled crossings are down.
We want our community back normal.
Now, isn't it remarkable? This is the same NBC News that never covered that when Joe Biden was president. Isn't that wild? The greatest bias in the American press is not what they cover, but what they don't cover. The stories the American Press Corps chooses not to cover is about bias. Now, let me translate that to Bari Weiss, who I mentioned a couple times this week, now being the editor-in-chief at CBS News. One of the things that she had an eye for when she was at the New York Times and now at the Free Press is covering the stories that people like you and me talk about that liberals in the media don't talk about. Because she understands that's part of the bias of the press. So she is probably going to start getting CBS to cover those, and I think it's an indicator at NBC, as, by the way, they are now breaking away from MSNBC. MSNBC is now separate from Comcast NBC network and changing their name. I forget what the dumb name was that they chose for themselves, but they're now a separate network, and suddenly you've got NBC News reporters telling stories that when they were tied to MSNBC, they never told. Isn't it funny to see the press waking up to tell the truth about the border? After 4 years of denying it was a problem on behalf of Joe Biden, they're suddenly like, we're not having any border crossings anymore. 20 from 2000 to 20. Genuinely a remarkable collapse in border crossings. But had you tuned into NBC News for the last 4 years, you would have never heard stories about the border crossings, except for 1 or 2 times in those 4 years. They simply treated it as a non-story to protect their precious Joe Biden when they thought he was running for president. And now the truth can be told. It's the same thing with this Hunter Biden story out on corruption. We'll get to that one tomorrow. Right now, I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You can get 3 of them for less than $200 and save $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. It's an air purifier. I got to travel to Burlington, Vermont tonight. I've got one in my travel bag. They're small. They're portable. You can hold it in your hand. You go to EdenPureDeals.com. You get 3 of them for less than $200. You use the discount code ERIC3, ERICK3 at EdenPureDeals.com. They trap pollen and dust and pet dander. They kill 99.9% of bacteria and viruses. that float through the machine, and they wipe out every odor. No odor can stand up to the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You go to EdenPureDeals.com. You put in the discount code ERIC3, ERICK3, and you'll get 3 of them. Upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your travel bag, your RV. You plug it in with a USB cord. You plug it directly into the wall, and they just work, wiping out odors, generating ozone, touches the odor particles, and takes them out. EdenPureDeals.com, discount code ERIC3. I'll be back with you live tomorrow from Burlington, Vermont. I'll talk to you then.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of Atlanta's Morning News from 5 to 9, traffic and weather throughout the morning to help you plan your day. Clark Howard looks at how AI is keeping communities safer, and Scott Slade's Georgia looks at the big impact of North Georgia apple orchards on WSB.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
I'm obsessed with 529 plans. These plans originally just for traditional college now have far greater uses. You can put money in a 529 plan, and in many states you get an upfront tax deal for doing so. The money grows tax-free through the years, and then when your child reaches the point they're getting education beyond high school, the money can be used for so many different things now, so many different types of training, and that money, again, is used tax-free. Wait, there's more. You can even use up to 10 grand a year for kids that might be in private school, K through 12. So these plans are crazy flexible. I have a guide at Clark.com that teaches you how to use a 529 plan to your maximum advantage.
I'm Clark Howard.